I'm going live right now. What do you guys want me to do before I go?
Oh, nothing. No, I was just telling the baby, let's go play this way, so he's not playing right in front of your door.
Yeah, it's not gonna do much right now because but I could get subscribers
But it's good
and maybe I'll get some VODs up.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
it's good for
nobody is excluded from this
no,
room or anything
no.
unless I start like having to do cheers and stuff.
Yeah,
And
no, I'm just afraid he'll just jabber to death because he's never seen it before.
well, unless that happens too,
Like,
yeah.
I've never,
All it is Daddy goes live and there's a
They go
camera.
live.
See, there's a camera up there, and then my camera feed will appear on there. And we're already live on YouTube anyway.
All right, let's go and.
Yo. All right. Wait. Hearing some feedback. Let me find out where. There we go. It was YouTube. Okay, so I'm streaming to YouTube as well. But the cool thing about the YouTube stream is it's a much higher bit rate. So, oh shoot. It's feedback. How about that? Fingers crossed. So I was, because I haven't streamed for a while, so I was playing with the audio and I was trying to play my desktop audio back, because I was going to see if I could stream music to Twitch, but no music to YouTube. I think I did it. I think we got it. Let's check it out. Yeah, I think we're good. Let me go. You know what was causing the feedback? It was Kick. Okay, so let me check. Let's check the chat. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to stream because I haven't streamed for so long, but I'm gonna try. I have some cool stuff to show you. I'll show you in a second. But Chico, yo, long time, and Evil E is here. Yes, Evil E, what are you doing right now? And Dezo is here. Hey, this is cool. All right. So why don't I ever go live? Well, because I'm doing all kinds of stuff, I guess. Like, I've been saying, oh man, I need to go live. So let me see if I can figure out how to use OBS. Well, I know how to use OBS, but I have like a million scenes. So all I want to do is a window capture. Is that going to even be possible? I'm probably not going to be able to do this without leaking all my passwords and stuff. So there we go. Cool. Evil Lee says, wait, you didn't know I changed my name? I knew that. I think I knew. Yeah, it's changed it like a long time ago, I think. Mostly Random Gamer says, man, I haven't seen Psynaps live in forever. First time chat. Well, I mean, why haven't I been live forever? I don't know. Evilly says, it seemed like you didn't know who I was. I think that I remember everyone. I think I remember everyone since the beginning, I think. But here's the thing. If I forgot, would I remember I forgot? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to, AI is like ridiculous right now, right? And the weird thing about AI is it's going faster and faster. Like, it just has this weird momentum to it that I think we've just never seen, right? It's like, what does humanity call these things? Like, it's like a paradigm, like the industrial age was a paradigm, and maybe the AI is just like part of that or something. But I think what it is I think it's its own like digital paradigm. Like, even the internet is like this big advent, and AI is one of these things that's just one of these pillars of progression for humanity and knowledge. Okay, so anyway, that aside, the weird things that we can do with AI now are pretty crazy. So I wanted to see if we could do videos, because remember, we used to do a lot of video stuff. Like when I streamed back in the day, right? We did the intro giveaways, every time I made like a cool new scene or something cool, like from video games or just like whatever, right? We would try to get it to be like, 3D, and we'd go into Cinema 4D, and we'd go into After Effects and stuff, and spend hours drinking beer and booze and doing cheers and building these cool like videos. Well, that was a lot of years ago, right? Now it's like I can literally type into the AI like what I want it to make. It'll just make that video. So I want to show you these funny videos. And Panda Sweet is here. What's up? I want to try to, you remember in the barbecues. So you guys will remember probably better than me. But oh, cool. People are coming on the YouTube side too. So if you have, hey, Cyberrain says, I haven't seen this guy since Swifty. So if you want to do like some science while I'm doing my science, one thing you can check is like if the quality seems any better on YouTube, because I'm streaming a higher bit rate. I'm doing like different bit rates to all the different platforms. So we'll see if my internet can do that. I have symmetrical fiber finally. It took a long time to get it here, but like they like tore up my whole neighborhood just laying fiber. So I was like, yes, fiber. Finally. But 1981 represent, Chico. That's so cool. You know what? I wished whenever I started streaming today, I wished that, or at least I hoped that some of you guys would come and say hello in the chat. So thank you guys for that so much. So I can end the stream now. I'm happy. No, I'm not going to end because I've been spending a lot of time doing this like AI stuff, and I don't know like where to start. I want to show you everything. All this is it's ComfyUI. It's called ComfyUI. If you guys haven't played with ComfyUI before, like this is a free tool. The only thing that is not free is the GPU that you'll probably need if you want to do like some of this nutty stuff. Like I got a 3090 just for this because that's what the AI community said. They were like, everybody's always like, what's a GPU just to kind of get started, just to be able to do inferencing locally. And of course there's the 5090 is probably the one you want, but those are expensive and the availability is weird and the price, I hate how this market is. And so, I don't want to, I want a 5090, but I don't want to buy one. And so, and then there's a 4090, and guess what? The 3090, as old as it is still one of the most popular GPUs for doing this kind of stuff. So, I didn't have a 3090, so I just put one in that computer that's behind me back there. And then it's got some quadros in it too. It's got like, I think like an A4000 and various GPUs go in and out of it. So I think right now it's got the 3090 and the A4000 in it. Those are very similar GPUs. One's just like a quadro. The other's like, for gaming and for VRAM. So it's kind of a lot of gear. And I think for some people, it's like, that's a huge turnoff because it's like, oh God, I need the gear, and you're an asshole because you have the nice GPUs and stuff. And I know. Now, maybe you happen to have a GPU, or maybe your GPU is a little bit smaller. Remember, it's not always the size of your GPU. It's how you use it. And that's even more true with ComfyUI, because there are some nodes and some workflows in here that let you use smaller GPUs. It'll just run slower. It'll just kind of like move memory between your VRAM and your CPU RAM. And that takes a little bit of extra time, but no big deal. So everything in AI, I really like because it reminds me of rendering in Cinema 4D. I feel like I can start a render and then all these pictures will come out. But here's a question that I want to ask everyone. And you don't have to answer me, but hopefully somebody will answer me. Does this even look like me? Okay, because I spent about $3 on a GPU to teach the AI what my face looks like. And so I gave it like, I don't know, 40 pictures. I just went through pictures from my phone and just like, I should probably open up the pictures. It's a kind of a weird data set. It's like me from many different years, like skinnier, younger looking me, which now I look old. I don't know why. Like, don't even tell me that I look old because I know I probably just feel old. But so older, fatter Psynaps and younger, good looking Psynaps. And boy, let me tell you, I look good. I mean, we know that, but I looked better, you know, when I was younger anyway. Younger me, super hot. And so I put all these pictures in the AI, and then I trained it. This music is weird. It's kind of upbeat. Hopefully something happens. It does look like me. Okay, so Dezo thinks it looks like me. It says you look a little bigger. You are slimmer now. And that part is actually hard to control. So as these image models get better, and this is Qwen image, by the way. So if anybody happens to like stumble into the wrong stream and you end up here and you happen to be taking notes, this is Qwen image. The one everybody's talking about right now, and we can even go to Reddit right now and look at the thread StableDiffusion. So StableDiffusion is like where these, you know, the AI nerds for images and videos are hanging out. And if you go there, everybody's using Z image. So that one you guys might like if you're getting started with this. I think you should start with the Z image because you can run that one on smaller GPUs and you can get it to run, and it goes really fast too. So if your computer or laptop was a little bit slower and you're like kind of frustrated by all this AI stuff, Z image is a perfect place to start, and it's so good. You know, I might even switch. A lot of people are switching to Z image. Flux was the one that a lot of people used before. Yo, Boosted is here. So Flux is a good one. This is for the note takers out there. What was the other one? So Qwen image is what we're doing. And then there's Qwen image edit. I trained Qwen image to my face, or at least I tried to, using some guides. And I think it came out, you know, when I first got this LoRa, you know, the Psynaps face LoRa, and I plugged it in here and started making images, I was like, holy shit, this is like really good. And then as I zoom in, I start looking at the details. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. You know, I think you could create content, you know, you can make thumbnails, and I think you can do a lot. But that's another question I wanted to ask. Does it look like me? And the other question is, what are we doing? Like, what is a really good use case for this image generation? I don't know if you know this, but basic things like making Christmas cards, these make such good cards. I made my first children's book for my son, my youngest, who's Silas. We were playing with the AI one night, and let me like pull up some pictures just to show you while I'm telling this story, so you can see what these look like. Hopefully I don't get banned, you know, because hopefully it doesn't like make boobies or something accidentally, because that could happen, you know. But let me zoom in here so we can see these a little bit more. Now, I'm not making boobies, you know, what do they call it? You know, when you're like creating like booby content, you know, it's like, I forgot what it's called, but the weird thing about AI is I think that probably 90% of the pictures, if you go to like, what's it called? Civic AI or Civit or whatever it's called, Civi. It's like everyone just makes like, Boosted said party pooper. No, I'm not saying not to do this. We'll have to stream like on Chatterbait. Oh, that would be, oh my God. Could you, no, I can't imagine with that. Could you imagine, streaming like naked AI content, like making X-rated or R-rated content live. No, I cannot imagine that. But yeah, you'd have to go somewhere like for that, right? But everybody's gooning on these this AI stuff. So that's like another culture of this generative AI stuff is you can take a face or a character, a body, whatever, a likeness, and completely recreate it using these models. So let me like go through these a little bit. So this particular Laura here, I think is going to be for creating videos because it will do different perspectives. So it'll give you all these different perspectives. It'll help you create a model. Like I think this close up looks like me, but the chest hair is like kind of all messed up. I mean, first of all, like I'm not as hairy as that. And even if I were, like, I don't know what happened to the hair, like the fine strands of the hair kind of break down with this particular model. Like Z image, for example, it does hair just fine. But this one here's, it's so powerful. It could do so much, but you have to really help it along or else it'll make like little mistakes. And the skin, it's just guessing. Like it'll get some of like the little marks on my skin, but not all of them. It knows they're there because sometimes the exact marks on my face will show up, or sometimes just a little bit. So it understands it. It's just like random whether or not it hits it or not. But you're about to see a lot because there's so many of these. I'm going to go through them kind of fast because there's a million. But I think this one's for making videos so you can do different perspectives. This one looks kind of bad. You can see in the beard, it's like all messed up. Because of like the scheduler, or one of the options I used was just default. So I had to pick, you kind of have to read the forums and stuff to see what other artists have discovered and kind of try to replicate those settings. Cause this is math. It's like, you have to try to find the right algorithm to cook these. It's like you have this base model. It's got all this power and all this AI capacity and this knowledge, and it's been trained and it knows everything. Then you have to extract that information. You have to render it. So I think this is just like a lot of the digital art that we used to do. Artists will disagree with me, and that'll be fun. I should actually start streaming this a little bit and try to see if artists come in and, get all pissy about AI. Because I know that people as a whole, like as a society, rage on AI. Like if anyone finds out it was made by AI, they're like, and freaking out. For good reason. I mean, because we could be tricked potentially by AI. And so we should be careful. So this was Z image. I don't really like these. They're kind of weird. Like that one doesn't look like me at all. I'll get past these onto the ones that are good. But I was kind of frustrated with Z image because it'll make these beautiful, beautiful images, but it's having a hard time with the character Laura because they have yet to release their base model for Z image. But for Quen, these are back to the ones that look a little bit more. It looks exactly like you. Pew pew. Hey, Justin Case is here. What's up, guys? So wait a minute. You think that one looks like me? I guess. I mean, unless you're trolling. I mean, because technically it doesn't. Like, that is not my face for sure. But the eyes, some of the features are definitely my face. So it's like you can tell it's like almost there. And then there'll be a picture that is there. Like this one here, it has some of like the features of my face. Whoa, Wolfric just subscribed. But I didn't hear it in my earphones because like the bots and not everything is connected all the way. But Wolfric, thank you so much. Wolfric, one of the most awesome and interesting people that I've known of all time, subscribed again, and I can't believe it. But basically, what we're looking at here is ComfyUI, and I'm trying to establish a few things. Actually, number one, first and foremost, I want to make the whole internet mad because we're doing AI here. It should should cause some enough drama to make things fun and interesting. But secondly, I want to find out if this Laura that I train even looks like me. I think it does. I think you guys will be convinced at least, but you could be honest and tell me, bro, why are you looking at your face? I told my wife the other night, I was like, you know what? Making these images, I feel like a bird. Like, you know how if you put like a cockatoo, I don't know if all birds do this, but if you put a bird in front of a mirror, sometimes they go nuts. They just like get all happy and they start like, sometimes they'll try to attack it. And sometimes, putting a mirror in front of an animal is not a good idea, but like birds love it. Like they think it's their companion and they start like, like spending time with the mirror and stuff. I don't think I'm at that level yet. Okay. I don't think this is like I don't think there's a psychological diagnosis here. But you can disagree with me if you want to diagnose me, go ahead. But I feel like I'm a bird, like looking in the mirror at these pictures, right? And here's an interesting topic, because speaking of psychology and the effect that AI has on people mentally, you heard about all of these people falling in love with their ChatGPT boyfriends and stuff and getting married. Like, I think there was like an article where a lady got married to her ChatGPT husband. And so for the purpose of the marriage ceremony, she had like a little headset on or something, so she could see him, at least like a representation of him and whatever. So we're not going that far. We're going to try not to fall into the AI psychosis, but that's interesting how it has this effect on us. Like, it's just wild. When I heard people were doing this, I was like, no. And then, okay. And if you're going to fall in love with AI, okay, I think I understand that part, at least how a human can, find, companionship with the world's corpus of knowledge, and train it to be their boyfriend, and it always does and says what they want. Okay, I get that. I think plenty of people are gonna, be companions with their robots and their AIs one day. But ChatGPT, though, I mean, it's a product. It's a cloud product, and then ChatGPT changes their model, and then apparently their boyfriend like changes personality, and then all of them felt like they got dumped after that. So anyway, try not to fall in love with the AI, just in case. But if you do, don't use ChatGPT. Like, at least download your own AI model or something so you can make it consistent and actually. But I think this one has some likeness to me, I think. And so just so you know what I did here when I go through these pictures, I set up ComfyUI just to render pretty much all night long. So I went into the Python code and I developed something that's a little bit like unique for me as a developer. I made this script that generates prompts. So I'll give it kind of like a seed. I'll say, okay, this is Psynaps, 39-year-old Psynaps guy. I put in 180 pounds, but I don't know, maybe I weigh like 190 at hose counting. So I tried to kind of describe it so it gets my body somewhat right, the way my body is now. Because I've been all kinds of different weights, like when I was at the gym, like I had to try to gain weight, like skinny. But then I grew up and got a little plumper, which I always wanted. I describe myself, that's like the starting seed. So it knows me, and it has to know Psynaps, because Psynaps is what I assigned this Laura. I have to actually type that word in, and then it will kind of activate my training. And then I put in all this random options. So like me on a boat, me in wherever this place is. I don't know what that is. Me in space. So it'll just randomly like do this, and then it'll just run all night long. And image can take anywhere from like 10 to 30 seconds to generate, sometimes even longer if it's higher quality. And then when I wake up, I'll have like 100 new pictures. So I went through a few iterations of this, and guess how many pictures I made? I like that one. That one's actually kind of cool. I don't know, but there's 4,000 files in the pictures folder. I think I might have made a few thousand pictures of myself. Now you might be changing your psychological diagnosis. You might have thought, oh, okay, everything's fine. Psynaps is just a silly dude. And then you see how many of these, but it's because I made a highly efficient, like automated thing. And so it just like made a bunch of them. I think that one looks like me. That one's like kind of all messed up. Now, as I stream this, I'm going to go through a number of things. Like I'm actually going to bring up the workflow for upscaling these. I'm going to bring up a workflow for touching up the face. I'm going to do a workflow for editing. And then at some point, we're also going to go into the videos. I'll show you the first videos I made. I haven't been doing any video stuff this whole time, and I've tried for the first time like this weekend, some of the video stuff, and it's so dumb. Okay, I have to show you one right now. Hold on. Let me find it. There is an adult actor deepfake in there somewhere. Pew pew. Don't say that, because that could happen. I didn't do any like adult stuff in here. I might have like tried one or two of those pictures, maybe like not a shirt on or something, because I am a boy. I'm like a breathing human. I'm pretty sure that everyone is gonna try at least one picture without the the shirt on, just to see what the AI can do. And yes, it works. And it is like insane how the realism is for these. All I can tell you is be careful, watch out, because we don't know what's real anymore. For sure. Okay, let me try pulling up one of these videos. And I'm even fooled too, pretty regularly. Like you think you can tell the difference between AI and real? That was like last year. This year, it's not like that anymore. I don't think you can reasonably tell the difference. So, okay, so this was one of the first ones. I just took one of these random images that I generated, and I did what's called image to video, and I'll show that workflow too, because pretty soon I think people are gonna, people from the art community and stuff are gonna want to know, what I used. It's kind of like when I did After Effects and Cinema 4D and stuff. Like someone would be like, "Hey, how did you do that?" And that's kind of how my whole stream started. So some of these might be like, or maybe not. Maybe everybody just go to the internet, just ask Gemini how to do it. Gemini will teach you. But okay, check this one out. I just put it in there and I said, "Man jumping into the water," and that's what it did. These are so dumb. Let me try to find the one that kind of explodes. There's kind of a cool one. This one with a little explosion. Okay, these ones didn't work because I'm trying different settings. You can see the settings matter because it'll come out really bad if you don't have the workflow just right. So this guy, just a few different renders to see what happens. But these are not the ones I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for something different. Shit. Yeah, I think am I going the wrong way? It'll come up. It's where I just am standing there and I just do like a little jump. Okay, I better close this because, oh yeah, that one's broken. I think I set it to like a 5-minute video or something and it just completely failed. Oh, here we go. Like, what is that? Like, what the fuck is this? And when I saw that, after I saw the other ones, I was like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But when I saw this one, I almost couldn't breathe. I just started laughing. Sometimes these are so hilarious. Okay, watch this one here. Bam! Okay, so I told it, I don't know what the prompt was. It was something like, man jumping and then when his legs go up, there's an explosion and it says Psynaps. So I just typed it in. And, these are not hard to do. I think anyone could have made this with After Effects or Premiere or any video editor like that. It doesn't have to be an Adobe product. I mean, it could be any editor. This would be easy for any editor to make anyway without AI, that effect, with some masks, with some alpha channels and whatever, just do some overlays and compositing. So no problem. But there was no compositing here. It was just the prompt. We didn't have to open up the video editing program. We didn't have to go download the resources, the assets, the anime style like explosion, or generate the text. The AI did the whole thing, and it did the text too. So that is like, to me, like as a editor, and there's another one too. That's just nutty, guys. Oh yeah, this one here, I turned the settings up a little bit. So it's supposed to be higher quality, but it's not only higher quality in terms of like the resolution and the processing, the diffusion, but it's different as well. Like it has a different explosion. Tennessee said, look what I could do. Exactly. But yeah, and then Pew Pew, like, I'm interested to know, as long as it's not too graphic, I'm interested to know like what you guys have discovered with AI. So, what did you happen to notice? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, if you want to start generating art and working with AI a little bit, you can go to Civet, right? Now, I'm not going to go to it on the stream because that website, civetai.com. Civet, CIVITAI, Civet. You got to be careful with this one because it does have a lot of nudity. I'll just show you like a little bit of the front page because I don't want to go here and like see too much, but there are little buttons up here where you can choose you can unselect XR and you can blur mature content. Okay, so I don't like just trust that 100%, but so far it seems to work. So when you're looking for a model, this is not just to go for gooning or whatever, but I'm sure 90% of people will go there just gooning all day. It is also to where you find like the LoRa's and the models and the workflows and stuff if you want to learn how this works. So Civet AI is definitely, you guys should go there. Just make sure you can find the whatever it's called, the blur settings up here, the browsing at the top, and some of you guys will probably be like, you want to see all of it. You might have to actually create an account to see the rated R and above. You probably have to create an account because it's going to age check you to make sure you're old enough to be clicking on all those right there. But this is not supposed to be a naughty website. I think it just happens to have all the art that a lot of people do, and it turns out that along with anime, the nude content is probably the second most popular, and people just make anime after anime in here. But you can see there's some funny like background images and whatever. So that'll get you started, I think, for sure. We'll go back and visit that website again. I download some workflows and stuff from there. But yeah, I'm interested to see, like, what did you notice? I noticed that at that website, it's all anime. I don't know what people's obsession with AI anime is. Please, someone who understands, tell me. And then the other is pretty much porn. I'll just say it, you know, I'm trying not to say it, but it's pretty much just that. And then fantasy art, I think, you know, realistic lore is just like photography, like images, I think are also very popular. And then like fantasy art, like what you saw just now on there. Just, I love fantasy art. I mean, it's beautiful. But Pew Pew says, but you bring up a fundamental problem. I think AI will compound as people will exponentially lose the ability to understand how something works from a basic level, kind of like what you're describing. Someone could just do what you had to do manual. Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Hold that idea there, because that's absolutely going to happen. And I like to go back when thinking about that. I like to go back to just the technology we do understand. Like, we don't understand what the future of AI is going to be yet, because it hasn't happened yet. We can just speculate. But we don't have to speculate about the past. We do know what happened after the TV was the color. You know, we had a TV, then we had a color TV after that. And photography, let's look at art. Photography went from film to digital. That pissed a lot of people off. Any of you guys old enough to remember how pissed off everyone got when digital cameras started becoming dominant? You know, people were like, that's not photography. You know, photography is, you know, long hours in the dark room, you know, with the stinky chemicals. You know, you got to develop your own film. That's true photography. And I agree with him. I think you understand light a lot better when you do darkroom. I did darkroom when I was younger. And by the way, I did a little extra darkroom because that was a good excuse to get my girlfriend to develop film with me. And so anyway, I mean, what am I talking about? I mean, if you're like looking for some privacy, you have to close the door because it has to be dark, you know. But anyway, that is photography, or was. Not anymore. Now everything is digital. Think about a calculator, Pew Pew, and math. So you're getting philosophical. I just want to put, you know, plant another seed there. It's like, if AI knows everything, which it kind of does. I mean, at least it seems like it does sometimes. It still makes a lot of mistakes. It needs a lot of guidance to present the knowledge correctly, but it is capable of, you know, presenting all the knowledge with, you know, some good degree of accuracy, depending on how well it's trained and how well you guide it and what your prompts are. And if you know, are using other information. So does that mean we don't have to learn to do anything anymore if the AI just does it for us? If the AI just edits all of my videos and my pictures, and I never have to take another picture, and I never have to edit another thing, and I never have to learn the process of writing, because it'll just write everything for me, right? Is that what it means? Well, I would say if you want to answer that, just ask the question, what happened when we had calculators? Like, did everybody stop mathing? Did we just forget how to math? Or what about spell check? Did we not learn how to spell because Microsoft Word just did it for us? And I think the answer to that is yes, a little bit, probably for the most part. I'm a terrible speller, by the way. Maybe that's because I grew up with Microsoft Word, or I wrote my papers with spell check. Maybe, you know, or am I bad at math? A little bit, because I just use calculator, right? I use a TI-89 or 85 when I was in college, as long as the professor allowed it. Of course, I would even, you know, integrating and everything just with the TI-89. I don't think the knowledge is lost. I think we just are thinking about it differently. I think we still understand the concepts of math. We just don't do it the same way. Okay, we don't sit on a chalkboard and prove and do proofs on math to make sure that we got our math right. We just put it in the calculator and we're on to solving bigger problems, I think, right? So I think you can build a case both ways. You can build a case that the technology has completely ruined us, but you can build the other case that technology has also accelerated our knowledge and our progression, because it's, we're taking steps forward. Personally, in everything I do, in streaming and in science when I did that, in art, I've always been about progression. I've been about building a solid foundation and then moving forward and never going backwards. All right. If you had to write mathematical proofs every single time on the chalkboard, because that was the only way to do math because you didn't have a calculator or whatever, you can't get very far because you're going to spend all of your time, optimizing your math. And well, I'm kind of describing a mathematician in a way. But if you're an engineer, you might not have time to be a mathematician. You might have to go and be an engineer and use the math, So that's where AI, I think, where we are with AI. Now, how many of you guys just do everything with AI and just depend on it now and don't even read it? You just one shot write your emails or your papers or your code, one shot at copy paste and you're done. All right. Not going to lie. I've tried that with code. I've tried vibe coding, just one shot, something copy paste and then it works. And then on to the next thing. That's like how 99% of people vibe code. It's pretty well known. You copy paste, you get an error, you paste the error into the AI, and then it fixes the code, and then you paste that when it works, move on, right? And people are saying, whoa, slow down. You can't code that way. That's not going to work in the long run. But in the short run, it really does work. It really, really does. Dezo says, I'd say the biggest worry is that these previous innovations were narrow in their functionality, whereby they would exceed at a specific task, but could do much outside of that, but not do much outside of that. In that case, I think the biggest threat is that the wide range of use cases really will threaten a huge portion of lower level jobs in a way. And it won't create as many, but who knows? Right. That's one of the main concerns, right? Is that, hey, how is this going to be taking away jobs? Like, I will say one thing that I did notice about jobs and the future of AI. Everybody's right. So if you say, no, it's not going to replace everybody's jobs, you're right. At least right now, it's not. And it's not going to, I think, in the foreseeable future. And if you say, hey, AI is going to take people's jobs, you're also right, because it already is. There's one thing that people are not noticing, though, and I want you guys to notice. AI companies like Google, who's making a lot of traction here, ChatGPT, OpenAI, who, does ChatGPT, and then there's a bunch of other ones too. There's Grok and all the other ones. Elon Musk and what's his name? The guy from OpenAI. These guys want to sell you a product that will replace jobs. Okay. They want big companies, business to business. Sam Altman. Right. Sam Altman. I say his name. I should know his name by now, but, they want to lead you to believe, just hear me out. They want you to believe that AI is going to replace jobs, and they want to plant that seed. And on an epic level, we're talking on a huge scale. You know how much money these guys are responsible for? A lot more than I think, we understand. I think you'd have to be Sam Altman to understand truly what is going on right now in terms of how big that company is and how much it's worth and how much money is involved with this, right? This is kind of a big one. At the scale that we've never seen before. They would like us to believe, and are going to spend a lot of money in believing, that you can buy one of their products that will allow you to fire all of your employees and just use their AI. Okay, and I can tell you this for sure, because you don't have to be the CEO of a giant company to pull that one. Come on, any CEO, even of a small company, is going to say, yes, the product will walk your dog, and make your breakfast for you, even if that's not technically what it does, or even if it did do that, it did a lousy job. They're going to say it's going to do that. So, right? So now I think if people weren't realizing that or thinking about that, I think people are going to be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. We're going to be pushed to believe that AI is going to take our jobs and get worried about it. It's not going to happen. But you know what's fun? Thinking about what jobs would be replaced by AI. See, I thought that doctors are going to be replaced by AI because that's so easy, because you have the AI who knows the entire, corpus of knowledge in medicine. It's trained on medical papers and encyclopedias and journals and reference that no one doctor could possibly comprehend themselves. And so it has the makings, it has the ingredients for a better doctor or even a better lawyer, because the law is essentially language. The law itself is written. Lawyers even more should be replaced than doctors. And so far that's so wrong, because I tried using the AI for like a medical analysis, and it's just not there. Like, I don't know if they're not training it on medicine and emergency medicine. I think it definitely needs a lot of work. But that one in the future, I think. Yeah. So Dezo says, I don't know why, but I don't trust the Sam guy. Well, you shouldn't. What is the benefit to trusting Sam Altman? There's no benefit for you. You have to remember, this is a profitable company. Their job is to sell product. Their job is not to, I don't think they're giving, anything for free. I think it's supposed to come back to be sold as a product. So and Sam knows that. If Sam were here, I'd be like, come on, you're CEO of a big company, man. If you tell me facts about AI, I still won't believe you, because you're going to be telling me that because you're going to sell me your AI, right? So Sam Altman, he understands that, and we can't trust him. But I love these animations. These are so dumb. I feel so dumb right now for all these. But and then sometimes in some of these images, I'll get like a lot of little white spots. I think maybe one of my training images had like lint on the shirt or something, and so it like got magnified a little bit. Or maybe it's just Quinn. Quinn might do that. The rate of change is the concern. I think that's the main concern. I think I don't necessarily believe that all jobs are going to be replaced, or that AI is going to be like the singularity and, we'll never have to work again. We're just like, the AI will do all the work for us. Like, I don't believe a lot of that stuff, because I think a lot of it is just speculative. And I think some of those things have a chance of coming true. Just like early sci-fi novelists, and when we come back and we be like, oh, like, wow, how insightful Gene Roddenberry was, about future technology. And it turns out he was right about some things. I think that people's AI predictions are going to be right, sometimes, but we just don't know for sure. We're just speculating in the meantime. But one thing that is for sure is what you said, the rate of change. It is scary. And that's why some people think there's going to be the bubble, the AI bubble, which is an economic concern of the effects of AI on the economy. The economy apparently has gone through bubbles in the past. And so, investors and economists are looking at this rapid rate of change, rapid investment, rapid, uptick in AI companies and investments, and our dependence on chips like NVIDIA and other critical, hardware and infrastructure that's required and power, for AI. We're looking at this massive, rapid change, and people are like, that's a bubble. That's a bubble, yo. That's a bubble. Yes. It feels like a bubble. But then other people will say, no, it's not as much of a bubble as you think. AI is here to stay. This is like the internet. It's not going anywhere. But there was a .com. Like, there's all kinds of weird little bubbles. People are going to get in trouble, I think, before they fully understand what's going on here. I'm not going to invest a lot of money into AI. I was even skeptical about investing into a modest GPU like the 3090, which is still not a modest investment. They're still expensive as hell, more expensive than they should be. You know, they're overpriced, and it's old tech. I usually never want to buy old tech, but we need the VRAM. You know, we're all jonesing for the VRAM, so 3090s are still relevant. And so I was thinking, wait a minute, should we actually even spend another dollar on it? Why not just use the APIs? Use Google. Use start your own GPU server. You know, I do a lot of GPU servers. So I got all the GPUs in the world. So why not just use the cloud, right? And just pay for that and don't buy the actual hardware. So that's something. Yo, Droid, good after morning to you as well. You know, we're just doing a little bit of AI philosophy, but also I'm going to do these. And if you're just coming into the stream, I'm going to show these workflows. So we're doing a little ComfyUI. And there's so many. First, I was going to present what I've been up to, what ComfyUI has done here, and then talk a little bit about how we did it and look at the methods a little bit, just like we used to do the old school After Effects workflows and Cinema 4D, build 3D resources, whatever. Maybe we'll build something in AI. Yeah, these pics are epic, by the way. Sorry for the AI doom conversation. No, it's good. Dude, I would actually prefer to talk about stuff like that, because you know how I get all philosophical and it doesn't take long, you know, like 2 minutes into the stream and we're like deep into some topic, right? I think it's important because I think people have a lot of misconceptions about what it is. I think there's plenty of people who even now and coming into 2026, whoa, Psynaps. Hey, 2016. That's a good year. It was 10 years ago. Holy shit. People still don't understand AI completely. I like this one. There's a couple that put me in a Vineyard. The Vineyard ones are like so chill. Maybe they're too chill, but totally chill vibe, which I like. You want the copper bucket? There's a few copper ones in here. Like there's one where I'm like, for some reason, like unraveling a copper tubing and one of these pictures coming up, and I was like, why am I working with so much copper in here? But that's a shiny bucket. And then we're also going to do some upscaling, so I'll show you how we can make these pictures even higher resolution. So this one here is like just a first pass, and you can zoom in a little bit, but that's about all the detail it can do. And the beard, for some reason, I got to like study a little bit on the beard because it does have a hard time with my beard. Like it knows all my little white, it can tell, but it freaks out. I think it's really like focused on the beard. So I have to figure out how to train that just right. And it gets a little kind of pixely there, but even as like the first output image, and there's the bucket, it's still not bad. And the details are not bad in Quinn. Like, I mean, there's like little pants creases and wrinkles, and there's even got a little bulge there going off. So some of the bulges were not too bad on some of these pictures here. I happen to notice, and like just little things too, like arm hair. Do the hands look like my hands? You know, the trippy thing is sometimes, you know, it was trained on my face and like maybe shoulders, face, and very few of like my whole body, but it'll actually like kind of guess like little freckles and stuff and get them pretty much right. Nipples those things are, I think those nipples might be made out of copper right there. Look at those. So you have to do a little refining to fix some of the little imperfections, but we're not seeing the imperfections like we used to see with SDXL and some of the older models. You know, those ones needed a lot of help. But here, you know, it's really just getting it right the first time. And we're going to see more of that with AI. It's just getting it right the first time and not having to go back so many times. There's me in a vinyl store. That's funny. And the data center was one of the options for a prompt. I don't know what that pose is though. I've got like what do they call it? The fig leaf pose there. It's like I'm like a data center nerd. I'm like, these are so awesome, man. Okay. Now, there are a few pictures that for some reason didn't understand the fashion or I messed up fashion prompt in the template, because I'm literally like wearing like what looks to me like a dress in some of these. And to be honest, I had no idea that I looked so good in a dress. That's like, you know, kind of a realization that I had to, you know, that was a kind of, you know, swallowing a heavy pill there. You know, for the first time I realized, wow, you know, I have some fashion range. But anyway, aside from that weird little thing, you might be wondering what happened with some of these. I didn't tell it to put me in a ballerina outfit. It just did that. These like random prompts like went all night long. Believe me or don't believe me. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it. So this one here, you know what I noticed? Here's another thing. Tell me about what you guys noticed, because what I noticed was AI will sometimes make the faces look very plastic. I think this one in the background, you know, this one that we were looking at before, it looks a little plasticky. And even the really good models like Quinn and Flux, you know, they'll have this little plastic kind of look to it. But if you like mess up the skin and make the skin look really grungy, and models like Z Image, for example, add a lot more noise to the skin, it makes it look real. So it's kind of like this. And I see a lot of AI artists are purposely messing up the skin and adding blotches and stuff to add more realism. That's a little bit of a trick. Now, personally, I think we need to get the AI to just like be real and not have to like artificially dump a bunch of crap on the skin, you know, to make it look more real. But yeah, my skin is already bad as it is, so this has a pretty real look to it. But there's like, I don't think I have all those. I have little splotches here and there, but not all of those here. This is just like a little bit over exaggerated, but somehow gives it this realism. And then it looks like I also have like a linty shirt or a shirt with polka dots on it or something. So kind of cool science there. And then it's also supposed to try to explore different photography methods. So, you know, some of these weird ones like with the strange color, it's like, I think that's like a pose it's trying to do. We're going to do some poses too. That's another thing on my list. I think I could probably do an entire stream series on just some basic methods. And I'm not an expert, but we could go through them and actually learn. You know, the pose is so important when creating this kind of stuff, both for the images and the videos. And in 3D too, I think I got excited about the poses because remember when you're rigging a character and we want to do an animation in like 3D or even in game development, you know, when playing games, you have your model, you know, and you have to give it the skeleton. So the AI can do that too. It can like really rapidly and quickly skeletonize an image, you know, the eyes, and create the bones instantly almost, and accurately and consistently according to you know, standards of, you know, pose, bone structure, or whatever they call it. And then we can apply that pose to another image. So I can, you know, take the pose from this image, for example, and apply it to another one, or take, you know, another pose. And so what I was thinking might be kind of fun is I might take one of these pictures here of me or someone or something. And if you guys can find some poses, or like we have some poses, I was going to let Psynaps bot, you know, I was going to, you know, maybe add it as a function to apply a pose to a picture and then have Psynaps like render these out and do some automated renderings. I would totally do that. And that would probably lead us to some trouble because I bet people would find some really weird poses to put my pictures in or other people's pictures. So it seems like it'd be fun until it gets too out of hand. I like this one. I don't know what's with that outfit though. The green, like, what is this, like wool or something? Or is that even like a style, or did the AI just make that up? Because it's pretty legit. I want to make a video with that picture of me just answering that phone. Like mentally, I have like this, like, what would you call it? Like impulse. I can feel the impulse in my brain to pick that phone up. Pick that phone up. Come on. I want to see him pick it up. And what are those things in the back? Are those buttons? Press the buttons. So for an animation, I have to do that. I think that's a disco ball. I showed this to my wife and she said, that's not a disco ball. And I said, I think it's like some kind of Tron futuristic data center disco ball. Pretty sure. But I wish my garage data center looked like that. I should build out my garage and make it look like that. Damn, imagine. I guess it's like a data center club or something. No comment. Can't really explain what did or didn't happen here. I think I may be underwater. Maybe. This one here's like kind of come out blurry. That one's awesome. Except for these pants. Like what? Is this a fashion mistake or a fashion amazement? I don't know. I like that one. Maybe we'll see the air traffic controller. I think that would be a good base for an image to video because we could like, okay, here's my thought process. And I know I'm wrong, so I'm not sticking with this. I aborted this idea, but I was thinking, you know, since the AI likes to be very random and it'll generate chaos if you let it, like it'll just, you know, it wants to make fire and explosions. I was thinking, okay, maybe the air traffic controller is like taking selfies while there's some planes crashing in the background. And I was like, wait a minute. No, that's like usually plane crashes are pretty like, you know, upsetting. So I decided against the plane crashing. But we can take that idea and make it work and make some rockets exploding and some fire. And I do have one of those. Let me see if I can find it. Check this one out. Let me see if I can find it. I did do one rocket video. This one. Let me tell it to loop. How do I find that? Okay, options. There's a setting in here that will loop this funny video player. Open it like that and then loop forever. Repeat forever. Okay. There we go. So I don't know what's going on with that rocket in the background. It just like made it. And then I gave it to the video generator. And then sure enough, the video generator made the fire of the rocket. That's pretty cool. And it's just like he's cruising on a rocket bike or something. But I can see the wings, the flaps are flapping. And then the hair is blowing. So we definitely got to get more of that hair blowing effect on there. I do like that. It's funny. Look at the beard. Even the beard is blowing in the wind. I am a fan of this. Even if like the pixels are messed up, it needs a little more, it needs more passes, you know, to clear that up. But the fact that it's like, you know, understanding the physics of hair blowing, it means it's been trained on that kind of thing, you know, and it's actually doing it, which is so dumb and awesome. These are only like 3 to 4 second videos. So we definitely need to, and then I just like random generated image to video. So what I did was I made a folder of images and then I wrote a script, just like a Python script, that interfaced with ComfyUI's API because it has like its own API and everything. And I said, okay, generate, you know, take this folder of images and just generate 3 videos per image and just use these random prompts. So that worked. And that was awesome. And that resulted in a lot of bad videos that were made. But the prompts need work. So I came back and I realized the prompts, they don't have as much variation. There's this weird light effect. So in the prompts, it's trying to address lighting. It's trying to set up lighting, but it just kind of comes across as like this red, like flare backlight. And it's really similar in all of the different images. This red flashing I don't know if that's, I think it's the prompt. I don't think it's my settings. I think my settings are okay because it doesn't always do that. It's just when I let the prompt just be creative on its own, it ends up like oscillating or cycling the light. But anyway, it's pretty cool. All those are really similar. Let me see if I can find, Dezo says, I'm guessing it handles the standard upright standing posture better because it's used so much. I want to say yes, because I think, but not necessarily. I think these base models are trained in like the human form. So, it can be sitting or standing or running, but there's probably going to be like an obscure posture that it's going to have a hard time with just because it's not trained that way. But I think what people are also finding is that they're surprised by how you can get these models to go outside of the training and just start to like inference new things that they weren't necessarily trained on. What?
I'm going to serve the kids.
Okay.
Dinner, and then you can come whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Miss Psynaps is, she's cooking dinner, so might have to take a break for dinner, but I'm going to be doing this all night. So, if I stay live or if I turn off for a while, I will be back later. But so in my prompt, the standing is in the prompt, but what it is more specifically is, let me see, I do have, like if I go here to Comfy and let's look at that picture that I was just looking at. Shoot, there's so many. It'd be hard for me to find that exact one. Ooh, I see some other cool ones though. Okay, so let's look at this one, for example, the one with the metal bucket, because I see that one here. If I just drag this image into Comfy, just like this, and just drag and drop it, it should show me the workflow. So this is the exact workflow for that picture with me with the bucket. And you can kind of see what it reads. I love this node-based workflow, by the way. If you're not used to the node-based stuff, it takes a while for it to kind of grow on you. I know it took me a while. But node-based editing is so common in all kinds of stuff, in video editing, image editing, and especially here with AI, you can kind of just connect things together, and you don't have to worry about it too much. There's plenty of templates out there if you just want a good template or just a general template. You can get these, no problem. But it says Psynaps, 35-year-old, 190-pound man, and I had to like modify those numbers to get it to try to look like me, more like me. And it says some funny things too, like flowing rock star hair, stands in a relaxed yet commanding pose. So there's your pose question. Within a pristine, sun-drenched vineyard at harvest. Let me put this image up while I read this so we can see. I guess I can't really keep it there because it goes behind, but it even says stuff like, shot on an ARRI Alexa 65 with an 85mm prime lens. Now I understand the 85mm prime lens, f1.2, but I know the ARRI Alexas, but what's the ARRI Alexa 65? Is that like a full frame? Is that like a video camera? Is that like a still camera? I'm not familiar with all the ARRI Alexas, but I don't think I have to know exactly what the 65 is to know that the ARRIs are very expensive. All right, so that's good image, video gear there, and the AI is going to interpret that as just make it look like a really nice picture, and it'll say some things that the AI likes for some reason, dumb stuff like ultra realistic, 8K, ultra high definition cinematic portrait with razor sharp focus in the eyes. And so these are kind of like the opening statement, which it'll follow pretty well. But then my prompt goes a little bit haywire. I have to tell it to be concise because, now it'll start describing exactly what kind of shirt I'm wearing and how it's fitted. And it's woven with a soft, natural sheen. Sleeves are rolled precisely to the mid forearm. So did it adhere to that? Is that what look? And it did. You can see, it did what it said in the prompt. And that was one of the things that the artists liked about this Quen model, was that it has good prompt adherence. Prompt adherence was apparently one of the things that AI artists wanted most in these updated models. You know, people are saying, hey, what do you want? Do you want, you know, editing capabilities? Do you want, you know, control nets? Do you want to do poses? Do you want to do depth? Like all the different, whatever they asked them for. The prompt adherence was one of the top asked for things. And that's just do what I say in the prompt itself and make that happen. So that's actually pretty awesome. So it seems to get, you know, and it's not going to get, you can't expect it to get everything, because there's some cases where the prompts might be conflicting. You know, you might tell it to do one thing and tell it to do another thing, and those things like don't come together so well for, you know, the AI might think they're conflicting things, and it'll pick one or the other or something. So the prompt engineering is super important, but as these models get better, they seem to understand the prompts better as well. So it does some fashion, and then what else does it do? I'll have to show at some point how I construct my prompts. You know, I'm probably overdoing it and overthinking my prompts, because sometimes it'll generate this huge prompt. It'll be like character pose, like what's the character doing? What's the environment like? What's the clothes like? And just like the very basic kind of prompt structure. But it'll have this vast elaboration. And it's like, that's too much. You know, the AI can't keep track of all that stuff. So if you make it a little simpler, it can sometimes understand it better. So I do a second pass. So I'll generate this elaborate prompt based on like a seed. And then I'll do another pass where I tell the AI, simplify the prompt, make sure it's coherent, read it, optimize it, make it more concise, but have it hold all of the, you know, general ideas. And then this is what it spits out. And I think it's still too much stuff, but maybe not. Maybe that's why these images look kind of awesome, because it's just adding a bunch of stuff. It's like, look at this. This is a cool one about the lighting. It says, late afternoon sunlight bathes the scene in crisp golden clarity. Let me see if I can do this. There we go. Should have did that in the first place. But let me see if I can find that. Yeah, so afternoon sunlight, so that's like golden hour, bathes the scene in crisp golden clarity with a Rembrandt style chiaroscuro. How do you say that lighting description? From above and slightly left, soft, warm, and diffused. So the light is coming from the left. It's coming from the horizon, and it's got this golden color. And it did that. It did what it said, and that's so incredible. And I just happened to like, you know, this is random, but if you were really like focusing on creating this exact picture, you know, you just have to like say it the right way and it'll do it. And it talks about the hair. It's like, this diffused light is sculpting his face with elegant gradients from luminous highlights on his black hair with subtle gold reflections. Whoa, like that's crazy. Hey, Anastalak is here. I'm just, we're doing some ComfyUI editing, and I want to present some ComfyUI. You know, this should, you know, if you guys want a weekend project and you haven't done this yet, I would assign you some homework to check out ComfyUI. It might drive you crazy. It might not be good if, you know, you don't have the patience for this node-based stuff. But it might also be very enlightening. You can learn a new tool and potentially create some really cool stuff with the GPU that you may already have. And like I said before, some of these nodes and models are built for small GPUs. And then there's others that work a little better on the bigger GPUs, or even sometimes even more than one GPU. But this is mostly a one GPU thing, ComfyUI. Hey, the Yopi. What's up, guys? Hey, it's so good to see you guys in here. What are you guys doing? I was telling the stream earlier when I first started that I was just hoping to see some familiar names in here yet again. And yet again, here we are. So, hey, guys. I'm going to take a break in a little while to go eat dinner, but I'm going to come back to do this because I want to do a couple of things, which will probably take more than one stream. I want to show these workflows for the image. I'm going to show you the videos. The videos are hilarious. And they're getting hilarious. I want to make some hilarious videos on the stream. And I want to somehow plug it into Psynaps bot too, so that you guys can help me. Should you see the opportunity, you could maybe help me make some funny videos too, you know. That's usually how it works in the chat, right? Like something I'm doing is dumb and then somebody types something in the chat and something funny happens, because, you know, everybody will take the opportunity to make fun of me as much as they can. At least from my perspective, it's been my experience that the chat never misses the opportunity to make fun. So if I hook this up to the AI and hook the video maker up to the AI, that sounds dangerously hilarious. So we'll see what we can do there. I want to do the pose thing because Dezo mentioned about the poses, you know, how I'm prompting to get these poses the way they are. I want to show you another method for making the exact pose using the pose skeletons. That was a 3D thing that we used to do with the skeletons. So we can bring this into World of Warcraft art. We can bring this into any style of art. I just happen to be an asshole and do a Laura of my face. You know, it's called the character Laura when you clone a face, essentially. It's not even face cloning. Face cloning is a different tool, yet another tool that can be used. This is different. This is training the AI to my face. So I can kind of, the way that works is it kind of guides the AI to your likeness, you know, and it's kind of more of a guide. And I thought, okay, this worked really good with the faces, but I wonder if it will work with the 3D art. So I went back and I collected some of the 3D wallpapers that we did. Because remember, we did that wallpaper series that lasted for, oh gosh, I don't know, more than a year, you know, a year or so. You know, we were doing the intro giveaways every time I was building a scene, you know, based on a game. You know, it'd take a long time to build the scene, and then we'd do the giveaway, you know, for the intro giveaway. And I'd put them up and people could donate and stuff for their the intros. And that was so huge. You know, that was something that I really loved doing, and it helped the stream so much to do the intros, and people participated. People did the intros and bought the intros. You know, I put them on the website and everything. And so that was your typical creator, you know, putting things up on the website and stuff. But that's, you know, how it works. And we did it, and you guys helped me with that, and it was amazing, and it worked really well. So point I'm trying to make, though, with that story was that we can train the AI to those assets, you know, the video workflows, the backgrounds. Haven't done it yet. Training takes a lot of time and can potentially cost some money. Well, it will cost money one way or the other. Even if you have a big enough GPU to train these big models, you're going to be using a lot of electricity and a lot of time training. It still takes a long time. Or you can use the big cloud GPUs and basically lease a training GPU. Sometimes those GPUs up on the cloud, they even come with, you know, pre-built images and workflows and stuff built into them to make training easy. You just put your data set up there and you know, just fine tune a couple of settings, press go, let it run all night, and come back and you have your trained models ready for download for testing. So I have yet to do that with the background images. And wouldn't that be cool? I mean, you know, we spent so much time. Well, you guys watched me spend so much time. It took me forever to make those intros. Spent so much time doing that. And now I can just type it in and be like, you know, make a funny animation with some 3D text. And then there it is, right? And it happens. So I'll show you my 3D text workflow. I am working on something pretty crazy here in ComfyUI. Let me see if I can find it. What was it? It was I'll search for text. I have so many now. Every time I have an idea, I like save it as a workflow. But text overlay maker. And I'm just diving right in here. Look at this giant node based. This is a big node cascade for me. Probably not for all the node pros out there. the node pros are probably have like, 100 plus nodes going on. And here's me with a couple of nodes stringed together, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's good. But this is a control net. So what does it do? It makes text, and it's really cool. I'll try to make one. My computer is not, my GPU is not ready yet because I haven't been rendering. I've just been kind of showing, but it'll take like a minute or two to like load this big model up the first time I do it. I can optionally add my Psynaps LoRa. It's right there. Oops, that doesn't show it. It's right there. Quinn image LoRa Psynaps. That's the one I trained on the cloud on the A40, 48 gigabyte VRAM GPU, enterprise GPU. But the Yopi says, oh yeah, I remember the WoW wallpapers. Oh yeah, Z image. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that one. I thought I already read that one, but it says, I've been playing around with ComfyUI for some time too. There's a new recent model that's way more contextually accurate called Z image. That's right. I do have Z image on here. Totally. I just happened to be like working in Quinn because Quinn had the base model. And I told everybody that if you go to Reddit, like on StableDiffusion, everyone is just talking about Z image. And I think that would be my recommendation for people. Like if you're just, you want to take my advice and do a weekend project and see if you can get ComfyUI working, I would definitely start with Z image because the models are a little smaller, so they don't take as long to download. They don't use up as much VRAM, making it possible for more people with different sizes of GPUs to use it. You could probably even use it on a laptop and get started with it. And they look good too. Sometimes the Z image actually looking better than there's the Meshtastic stuff going on. That's another good project you guys should try. I should probably turn that. Let me turn that off for streaming. But what was I going to say about Z image? So it doesn't have the base model. That's what everybody's waiting for. So Z image just launched, cutting edge, state of the art, small model, contextually accurate, realistic looking. It does bodies, like pictures of people look better, people's skin and stuff, so they're more convincing images. They look more like photographs. Not all of these look real. You have to really, like with Quinn, the one I'm using, you gotta really prompt it right to get them to look right, and then you gotta, the LoRa helps with the skin and stuff. Otherwise, they look fake and plastic. They have that very AI look. Even the big models, even the new Flux can very easily look fake. But not Z image. Z image just like out of the gate, just like, what do they say? Like just looks realistic right away. But I wanted to show you this text maker. Now, this is something I made. The environment is a lush rainforest. Okay, give me an idea of an environment that I can do. I'm going to do, this one says a lush rainforest. I'm wondering if I could even do this with World of Warcraft. So this is what we have to figure out. And so I want to do a stream where we're just figuring out how to remake one of my WoW backgrounds or a new WoW background, just whatever background. We'll go find something that looks really cool. Maybe take a picture of it and how to get it to like do the 3D text thing. I have not figured it out yet. This is as close as I've gotten, and I can show you a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and press start here, and I'm going to have it start, and I'm going to tell you what it's doing as it goes. But Z image can generate text too. I was feeding logos from death metal, deathcore bands into Gemini to generate prompts, and it can create some amazing typography in horror styles. Yes, Yopi is on it. I'm so glad. I was hoping that one of you guys had done some of this stuff. And I think we'll get more people in here too, because I think I'm streaming in art. I think more people will come in either to, number one, yell at me because I'm using AI, and there's plenty of hate for AI for good reason sometimes. And number two, to come in just to see like what the workflows look like and what model I'm actually using to make some of these pictures and stuff. So we'll see some of that. But I actually wrote this node, Yopi, in ComfyUI, which is just Python. I mean, I know how to use Python, but these nodes are mostly Python based. And there was no node that existed. There was a node that could like make text from a font, and this is text from a font. And there was a node that could do some basic text stuff like drop shadow, just a few of the text things, set the size. But there was no node that would automatically size the text to the window. So what this does, and I did this with Cinema 4D back in the day when we did intros, when I made your guys' names in the intros, I wrote a Cinema 4D Python that would auto size the text. So if you happen to have a really long name, which some of you guys do, it would have to make the font a little smaller so that it would fit. And sometimes the name would be so long that it was hard to you'd have to go back and change more things. But for like a standard length of the name, this will automatically size it. And so this was my very first node. You can see up here, it says ComfyUI Psynaps text generator. And I just type it in there and it'll, let me set the resolution, set the font. And so it just cooks up this, cooks that up automatically. Here's some of the other nodes for the models I'm using. I'm using depth anything for the preprocessor. You'll see why. I'm using the Quen image. I could be using Z image here. So we should be able to just drop it in. That's what's nice about Comfy is sometimes you can just drop in a different model in there. And then look what it does. It creates a depth map. All right, this is not the best depth map in the world. I could probably figure out how to do some more work there, but this was kind of the best I could get it. By dropping a shadow, I was able to kind of trick it into creating a depth map. Well, now that we have a depth map, which is kind of acting like the mask, probably a depth map and or mask will work, but the depth map seemed to instantly make it 3D. Look what we just made with that new node that I did and a little prompt. Created the 3D text, and just in, over a minute, actually it looks like maybe over 2 minutes, it created this image. And this is just a preview image. I think I have a compare over here. Now that's not all. Now this is just the image that it created. It's what it looks like. Me, I like the high resolution stuff. And, the AI will make great little pictures, small size. But what happens when you want to go to the big size? Well, then you have to start getting into upscaling and refining. And so that's where it gets a little more complicated because, then it's sometimes has to do binning, tiling. Then sometimes, there's a lot more there. So I'm interested in learning all that kind of stuff a lot more because it's hard. It's actually a lot harder. So getting started with that, and I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I just happen to, just throw in another K sampler here with a low denoise on it because that's one way to do it. Other ways to do it is there's upscaling models that will do it too, but those will do it. But when I'm using the LoRa, those kind of clashed with the LoRa's. So I just chose to throw that node in there. And now look at this. By the way, if you use Comfy, you can use this RG3 node package. It has the image compare thing. I love this compare thing. So look at what it did, giving it one more pass. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Look at the sword, the details on the sword, and then the text. And then finally, also look at the background. You'll see more details down there. That cool. So that's kind of the refined version. And this could be destructive too. Like it could completely change your image if the noise is not set right. And if you don't set enough noise, then it makes it blurry. So there's definitely a science to getting the settings just right. So I like rendering, so this is fun for me. Now that image it doesn't tell me what the size is, but, maybe that's it there, 2560 by 1440. So there's a 1440 image there. That's pretty good. And it didn't take that long, did it? Now, here is what a lot of people have been talking about. This is a new upscaler, which also does video. It's called Seed VR2. And I think this is great because it's just like all in one, just upscale it and it just works. But it does take up a lot of memory and it is a little bit slow. So let's see here. We can also save the image. I'm just activating these. So this is going to use like their smaller model, but there's a whole selection of models you can use. And the bigger the model, the better it does with better details and stuff. I'm going to tell it to use the second GPU because there's 2 GPUs in that computer back there. Because the first GPU is full with all the stuff we just did, and there's barely any memory left to do the upscaling. So it already upscaled it once, but now let me do the final upscale. So I'm going to click go on this, and the water drops. You like the water drop? I know, this is fun. You know, a fun thing about presenting this AI stuff to you guys too is you're going to see the difference between artists and the kind of tastes in the different communities. Like I think a 3D artist or a graphics, designer, all the different artists will come in and see things in the picture and, look and be amazed at different things or disgusted at the different characteristics of the AI generated image. But the AI community likes those little details and stuff, like these weird things that other artists probably don't realize. So the AI community's got its own thing going on, which is fun. Me as a creative, I like to see all of the different angles. AI does not. This has never made me angry to see this kind of stuff. I've always been fascinated by it. The science and research, the math, the creativity, the global, what would you say, the existential version of it. Like all of it is just scary but interesting. Okay, so we could do this again. Now we've upscaled it another time. We went from 1440 now to 4K. And so again, you see the differences in detail. I'm looking at the sword, some of the sharpness of the designs. So they can start to get wonky. Now we're just raw upscaling. So every little artifact could also be amplified. And some of the raindrops don't even look like raindrops. They just look like welding mistakes. But okay, we're getting, we're pixel peeping here. We're getting nitpicky. Everything still looks how it should. It's not like destroyed by the sharpening. It's actually kind of enhanced in its AI kind of way. And again, the water does look better with the sharpened version. The vegetation back there also. So this seed upscaler, this one really just kind of puts the final touches on it. Even this 1440 version with the moss right there, this mossy green vegetation stuff, it looks a little pixelated, got a funny texture to it. But when I upscale it, that funny texture goes away and now it just looks like, I don't know, some green blobby stuff there. And the mud too definitely didn't do very good. It looks more like chocolate pudding. Pudding. Looks more like pudding than mud, but I'm sure some mud looks like pudding and some pudding looks like mud. We could probably add more details to it somehow. And then of course, when we zoom out, then, the picture as a whole looks like what it looks like. So let's go back to the original text. This is where it all originated from. This is actual text. It's not AI generated. This is generated in Python. Python and Pillow, I think, is what I used. Pillow can do, take text and make it into an image, drop a shadow and all that. And then we took that image, created a depth map. And now that we have a depth map, we can use this cool thing, use the control net. This is the Quen control net, and that's going to read the depth image and feed it into this sampler here. And I use one of the higher quality sampler names. It's pretty popular with Quen, the Res2S and Bong Tangent. That's a funny name, but that's a bunch of math, some equations or something. I would like, the AI scientists, the mathematicians to, drop a knowledge bomb on us about some of the math here, because I think what we're doing now, I think what the community is doing for the most part is, I think everybody understands that these are, these are mathematical models and we just are picking the ones that look the best or the ones that are cool that everybody's on the forums are, using that work well. And they do. There's usually some that actually are working better than others. And but what we miss when we're using these pull downs is what we're actually doing here with the sampler and the scheduler. So I think it would be cool to go and look at some theory and just get to understand some of that stuff a little better. Not too hardcore, not like we're getting our doing our thesis and getting a PhD in AI, which would be one hell of a thing to do. We're not doing that. But we're just kind of appreciating, as artists, I think we should appreciate the math and the science that's creating these things. And if you have a good control of that kind of stuff, then you should be able to use it to make the pictures even better, right? So Anastalux says, hey, Si, I'm a fugging noob to this stuff. Can you use existing images and have this make it look better or different? Like take one of my WoW images I made and have this make it look more real? Yes to all of it. Yes, double yes, and yes squared, yes cubed. Because these, you just have to arrange the nodes correctly. You can input an image and do what's called image to image. So this is text to image. And I don't know what you technically call it when the I think it's a little bit image to image because we have the control net in here, but I think that's just called control net, but because of the depth map. But yes, just like you saw here, I started with an image and fed it in to the system, and then that and then it got real creative and did all of its stuff. So and I want to do that too, where we take an image and I wanted to see if we could do this with the live stream image. Like me, I'm just, sitting here, my webcam can take an image of me, and then all kinds of things can happen after that. What we can do with that image that we put in it, we can do all kinds of stuff. We can tell it to become a depth map, tell it to skeletonize me. I think that's really going to be interesting for all of you that were keeping up with all the 3D stuff that I was doing previously. The 3D enthusiasts, I think, are going to be very interested in the 3D modeling and the skeletons and animation possibilities with some of these techniques. So, you take this image, you can make it into a skeleton, make it into a depth map, and then you can start refining it. So let's say it's a World of Warcraft screenshot. Let's say it's a guild screenshot, like one of the special ones where you do like a boss kill or a guild event or something, and you have everybody's pictures. And so what would you want to do with that with the AI? Well, creativity's the limit here. If you see how these models are going, it's like you start typing stuff in there and it'll start doing stuff. And so there's also another method, and I think if I was streaming full time again, I would definitely get into this, but there's segmentation. So the AI can segment things. How we used to have to do it in Photoshop and in After Effects, for video making, is we'd have to make masks. And every animator and a VFX artist knows all about masking. Well, masks are back, with AI. They never went anywhere. But guess what? The AI does all the masking for you because the AI is trained on objects. You tell the AI, mask out the cat, it masks out the cat. Mask out the mountains, mask out the mountains. It does the masking, the feathering, it does it all for you, and it does it, potentially better than you would do it. You'd be sitting there, we used to mask on stream. Masking was the ultimate milking the content because it's going to take a long time to mask. So we just sit there and mask it all out, make it perfect, and that's, I get to mask. I always felt like masking was relaxing because it's tracing is basically what I'm talking about. Let's say you want to mask out your WoW shoulders. You want to make a background image where the text is behind the character, or their head is in front of it. So how do you do that? Well, you got to mask out the silhouette of the character so you can put the text behind it, right? And so you'd go there with you can mask it manually. And then there was like Photoshop had the auto masker and After Effects, and that stuff came out, within the last 10 years while we're still streaming. That's technology that Adobe is basically refining, the auto masks. And now with the AI, guess what? It's not just auto. It literally just does it for you. It's like mask out the cat, and it knows objects. So it knows everything. It says mask out the phone, mask out the, whatever. It'll do the hair. It'll do everything. So that's like segmentation. And that's going to be a great tool for graphic artists, for all of those graphic artists out there that hate AI, that are pissed off because every average Joe now can make a badass picture, a badass, composite. Or every platform, like Google or ChatGPT can make your pictures for you as long as you're willing to pay for them. So I think a lot of artists are a little bit raw about that and don't feel like it's art. I just want to remind the artist out there not to fight. I don't want to be combative when I say this, because I also consider myself an artist and I respect other artists, especially the ones that can do things that I can't do. And there's so many that can. I just want to remind them that we had the same fight with photography, for example, when photography switched from film to digital. Good photographers, good people who are great artists refused to accept that digital photography was still photography, and maybe still to this day. I think everybody's gotten over it by now. But, we still do use film, but AI is going to be the same way. This is just, I think it's going to be a predominant tool. Of course, you can mask the old way, but for what? It's not going to be practical method, but it doesn't mean you're not an artist. AI didn't take the artist away from you. The artist is always inside you. The creative, visual person that is able to, visualize in their mind, create. AI didn't do anything to that person. That person is still there, so don't feel like the AI is attacking art. It's how you think of it, I think. Yobi says, I think I saw a node that can do live face swapping in real time. Yes, that was on a stream. Hey, Super Freak is here. But yes, Yopi, that was on there is a live face masking tool. And even like what's that streamer's name? The YouTuber speed guy, the guy who runs fast and does flips and all that. He did a live stream where he did face swapping and he face swapped with other influencers. And then he went on to like Omegle or whatever and tried to like pretend like he was a different famous streamer or whatever. And it tricked no one. Like everyone could tell his face was all messed up. But yeah, there is a live one. I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to see, I think that's next for AI is live AI. What can we do with it live? We know that we can cook up some pretty nice pictures. It takes, a minute or, up to a minute or even in some cases, a couple of seconds to generate, or even sometimes a couple of minutes to generate a nice picture. But what can we do live? Turns out not very much, not yet. And the guys that are doing some pretty heavy live avatars, live, like live podcast style AI, those take like something like, what was it? Like, I don't know, a few 100 gigabytes of VRAM. So we're talking enterprise, multiple big enterprise level GPUs, the kind that you probably don't buy for your home computers. Probably the guys that you can only find them in the cloud. So as we've seen, the models get better and better, and the amount of VRAM that you need gets less and less. And we're squeezing more good models into smaller packages for VRAM. So that'll be next. And I would love to do some live stuff. I think it'd be funny. You know what I would do with live? I want to read the chat, but I see Zytor is here and World Observer. I want to answer your questions, but what I want to do with the live is have a podcast with myself just to see if I can, and then a podcast with a different avatar, maybe like a hot chick or something, because we know that I'm ugly. Like if I stream just my chair, like if I leave my stream, I get more views than when I'm actually on my stream. If I just put like a BRB screen up, I'd probably get more viewers because I'm ugly. So we'll put a hot chick in there and we'll have some fun with that. or it'll be me, or it can be Dezo. You guys can send me a picture of you, and we'll try to one shot clone you, and we could put what if we could put your voice in Discord, but your head on my screen? I mean, I don't know why we would do that. That's a dumb idea, but anyway, we can do weird stuff, and that's going to be fun, I think. So, welcome to the stream, guys. Zytor says, "Hey, long time no see. I'm glad you guys are here." World Observer says, "What model are you running there? Have you tried Z-Image?" Yes, Z-Image. You know, we might have to just use Z-Image because that's what everybody's talking about. But this one happens to be, and also Z-Image also has the control net, right? And I haven't tried it yet, but I've been watching other people do the ZNet control nets. But this one is Quinn. So it's Quinn, just the Quinn image FP8, like the regular base image. And then it's got the Quinn control net. I will say, with some of my crazy prompts, Quinn is definitely doing the prompts better than Z-Image. I don't think there's any argument there. But Z-Image is easier, it's faster, it's low VRAM, and the pictures just look good right out of the gate. Just, I mean, you know, and it does text and everything. I mean, the stuff coming out of Z-Image is incredible. And it's more photorealistic, right? So that's good. To get Quinn to be photorealistic like Z-Image, you really have to try hard. And I think we did. I mean, these are also from, you know, I did these, I showed these. If you guys want to go see my VOD, I'll probably show them again, but I didn't even finish getting through them. I actually accidentally made a few thousand of these because I automated it and just made them spit out random. I like this one. I look like some kind of operator or something. It's kind of weird. But hey, I always got a little bulge there in my pants. That's good. That's accurate. That's pretty. I feel like it understands me. I don't know why he's wearing like open fingered like boxing gloves. I don't know if those are like motorcycle gloves or like heavy bag gloves or what. But it's getting it now. I had a hard time getting Z-Wave to do the LoRa's, but it did do it. I did train a Z-Wave LoRa on my. I just had a little data set. I just took some pictures from my phone or whatever. I just picked some pictures and I just trained it, you know, just to do it, and it worked, you know. So I could probably go back and do it better. And then there's some that are, of course, completely terrible. And what the hell is it doing? But we did go back, and like this one, for example, you know, we looked at the prompt, and I might even have it here. Still, yeah, it is still here. And I didn't notice this, but it did a really good job with everything, the lighting, everything. So first of all, it just describes me. That's like the opening seed. And, you know, it says I'm at a relaxed yet commanding pose within a pristine sun-dried vineyard at harvest. So it describes me, the kind of camera, an ARRI Alexa 65 with 85mm prime lens. Ooh, that sounds pretty fancy. f1.2, that's a good lens right there. And then some other stuff like the normal ultra realistic 8K and whatever. But what I found was, which impressed me quite a bit, was when I went back down here into, you know, the clothes and the style, it nailed it. Like somewhere in here, it even says that, wait, there's the environment. Let me separate those. You know, a collar open with single mother of pearl button at the throat, button only to the second button, no wrinkles. Wait, let's see if that's accurate. See right there, buttoned only to the second button, you know, and it just goes on and on, like, and the sleeves rolled precisely to the mid forearm, revealing smooth tanned forearms. Like, what the heck? And it did it, you know? So that is what people are calling prompt adherence. And, you know, Quinn, it's a bigger model than Z-Image. So there's no surprise that it's doing the prompt adherence better. But there's plenty of surprising things about Z-Image where it is doing incredible things, even for its small size. It's doing things that are unexpected for it to do. So, you know, I think it's unexpected for Quinn to have such good prompt adherence for its size, but it's doing it. The only problem, well, there's plenty of problems with Quinn. One of them is that the pictures, they can sometimes look plasticky, you know, not as photorealistic as Z-Image, for example. So when that Z-Image base model comes out, and then we can train the LoRa's on it. Then we'll see if it can really take control of the LoRa's and really look good. I think we just switch to Z image. And I think for streaming, if I do a stream series on this kind of stuff, it makes sense to use Z image, because then I could connect Z image to the chat bot, to the Discord bot, and really make more use out of it, pump more pictures out. Smaller amount of time, we can make some cool, fun tools for the stream. Maybe even stuff that like pops up on the screen on OBS, you know, for the alerts. Imagine, you know, how I used to do. One of the last innovations that I did on my stream was, I did, what was it called? The video game render engine that I was using. I did real-time game engine rendering for your sub alerts, you know, for when somebody subscribes or, you know, a donation or whatever. I never really tested it out fully because I haven't been streaming that much. But we went into Unity and we created this essentially programmatic, you know, 3D text generation or whatever for dynamic events that happen during the stream. There's nothing more real-time than a real-time game engine. So I don't think AI can actually kind of replace what the game engine could do at this point for like real-time interaction. But just imagine if we can get like, let's say, you know, because, you know, earlier Wolfric subscribed, for example. And, you know, I have this history of, check out my upscale, by the way. This is I'll show you my refine and then my upscale. So this is just a one pass refine on Quen. You can see pretty dramatic difference there. And we can mess with the you know, the intensity, the strength, the denoise. So, you know, it doesn't have to be so dramatic. But this particular denoise seems to work with Quen. It's hard to get it just right. Maybe Z image, maybe it's a little better with upscaling, or maybe not. I don't know. But so there's a one pass. That's just like the refine, I guess. And I'm always looking for better ways to do this. I'm no expert with this. I had to go research refining. Like I'm new to that. But what everybody's been talking a lot about is this, what's it called? Not that, but this Seed VR2. So the Seed VR2 upscaler. It's kind of like, you don't have to think very much about it. It just upscales and it's good. The models are like really good. So after I do the refiner, which is like a slight upscale, refine scale, like the first pass, then I run it through Seed and this brings it up to 4K. And it really, really does the trick there. But yeah, Seed VR, yeah. It's easy to use. Although some people did complain about Seed VR needing a little bit more VRAM. So some people were a little bit disappointed. They felt like they couldn't run it on their smaller machines. So that's going to happen, you know, and I also noticed there's quite a bit of rage out there because it seems like the models are wanting you to get a bigger and bigger and bigger GPU as they go. So yes and no. So I see a little tug of war happening here with AI in the community where the models are getting bigger because the big models, they are incredible. Which means you need a bigger GPU, or maybe even you can't even get that big of a GPU. Maybe now you have to buy a cloud GPU to even run some of these big models, or just get an API subscription, right? So AI wants these big giant models that are only, gated on the cloud, subscription gated on the cloud. There's another pull going in the opposite direction where we want smaller models that we can use on consumer grade hardware, commodity hardware. We can bring it into our workplace and just get started, bring it into our studios, whether it's at home or at work, and actually, start doing some work and producing, whatever it is, if it's, answering your emails or turning your company's data into a RAG, or maybe you're a designer and you're creating the content, whatever. So it's like going in both directions. We want smaller, better models, and they're coming, but then also the heavy hitters are making bigger and bigger and bigger models. That's something I worry about. Like a lot of the things that people worry about when it comes to AI, I'm not worried about. Like not worried about it taking our jobs. I think we're all just going to be still doing our jobs. Our jobs are going to be different, and we're all going to be using AI. So I'm not worried about that. I don't think the singularity is going to end the world. I think humans are going to end the world, not AI. I'm surprised the world hasn't blown up by now. I think we're on borrowed time as it is. That doesn't worry me. What worries me is that some of these companies that are creating the open source models, like the free stuff, I'm worried that, they're just going to stop doing that. But I guess even if they stop doing that, somebody else will start doing it again. I am definitely 100% for the small models getting better and being more available for all of us to use. AI is free, guys. Remember, when you're watching your friends pay that Chat GPT bill, and hey, no shame. I mean, look, the big models, they do actually do a better job when it comes to some work. So yeah, it's fine. I'm not making fun of those people, but when people are paying those hefty subscription fees, make sure they know AI itself is a research tool. There's labs that are publishing their scientific data and publishing their models for free for our knowledge, for, human progression, for math and science and research. And that's where all of the AI research is coming from. It's coming from many of these free sources. And then, there's the private stuff that's going on as well. AI is always going to be free, I think. Nano Banana is better than all closed source. Right. I noticed that there's a lot of workflows out there that people are talking about where they will start off with a Nano Banana character. And I tried this for the first time today, actually. This is not Nano Banana. It's Quen image edit again. But there was just like a LoRa called Multiple Angles LoRa. And it just happened to be in the ComfyUI like presets. It's like one of the brand new presets. If you update ComfyUI, those will actually pop up. I was like, ooh, let's try that because this might be good for video editing with WAN, to do like a first frame, last frame type thing or whatever. I'm still learning a lot of that stuff, and it's all pretty new for everyone, I think, for the most part. But what I was going to try to say was that people are doing this on Nano Banana. They'll get their starting images going, or their characters, or their multi-angles and all that, and just let the paid service do all that for them. And then they'll take those and then they'll go and train them and create LoRa's with those, or videos or whatever else. So I don't think there's I think there probably are best workflows out there that are like good for a particular thing. But what I'm seeing is that this is new for just about everybody. And so there's plenty of room to be creative and just develop your own workflow and develop a workflow that might be just as good, or at least almost as good as Nano Banana. Yeah, you can 100% create the data sets. I saw a lot of, like on Reddit, the StableDiffusion Reddit, like I saw a lot of people, everybody's like, what's your workflow? And they're like, well, I started off in Nano Banana and I made all these like data sets, and a lot of YouTube videos too, people making their data sets. Because Nano Banana is like the most consistent, like it's, creating, consistent characters. And it's just fast. I mean, you also got to consider too, like if you're actually, producing work, the speed, it does come down to speed at some point. That's the problem with Quen. I'm sitting here waiting 20, 30 seconds for one of these, it renders, which again is not bad. I mean, even Z image can take 20 seconds if you jack up the sampler and the resolution and everything, but just for like, a modest thing here, we're waiting for a long time. That really cuts into productivity. Training too. Like how long does it take to train? And then somebody's saying, hey, there's like a one shot Z image trainer, Comfy trainer, or whatever they're talking about lately. So these things do matter, because by the time it takes me to train one character, what if I could have trained 10 or 50? I could have begun the next step in the workflow and potentially, you know, produced a lot more stuff. I like this one. I don't know what's going on here. I think I'm getting sniped by like some blue space laser, but it's pretty cool. I bet that one would make a funny video. The convenience as well, right? Yeah, the convenience, because the learning curve on this, like, you have to be a hobbyist to be able to sit down and learn node-based AI and download all the models and like mess with the seeds and mess with the denoise and the, you know, sampling. Like, you've got to like be into it to be able to do that. There's no way that your standard artist is going to have the patience to do all that crap. You know, I just happen to love doing it. I think it's fun. I like to test the hypothesis. I'll be like, oh, what happens if I, you know, bridge these nodes and I denoise a little bit here, but then I adjust the noise over here, and then you have all these crazy combinations. I love that kind of stuff. Like, I love when there's enough buttons and dials that you can break it. Because it can also be the opposite. Now, a lot of buttons and dials can definitely break it, but it can also lead to the emergence of something incredible when you really have that fine-tuning ability and you understand it, which is something I'm trying to do. I don't fully understand every mathematical branch in this, in the node flow here. You know, sometimes I have no idea what I'm doing. I just change the number and it looks better, right? So the better you understand it, then you can start to design your latent interactions and whatever. You love the images? Are these dumb? They're so dumb. And what's cool about all these images, though, I think even if people were sick of, you know, seeing these pictures of my face, I'm sure I'll get sick of it sooner or later. The cool part, there's another one in the vineyard, I like those, is that my prompt generator is pretty cool. So I built a Python prompt generator and it's completely out of control. Like, I mean, this thing, it's generating these crazy prompts. Like, I'll run it through like, you know, a Quinn 30B model or, you know, GPT OSS or, you know, some local model that runs on, you know, normal GPUs. And it'll just like spit out so many details. So it's not getting the details has been the problem. It's getting the AI to chill out on the details and just focus on the one that's going to make a cool picture. And I think that's why these Quinn images look kind of cool, other than the ugly fat guy that's in them. The rest of them look pretty cool. And that's because the prompts are very detailed. So Quinn likes the extra words, the extra details. Z-Image didn't like it as much, it seemed. And that makes sense because Z-Image is a smaller model. So I think when you overload it, it gets a little fussy. It likes the simpler prompts, but then it'll build these beautiful images even from just a simple prompt. Whereas Quinn with a simple prompt makes an ugly image. If I just write guy sitting in a chair in the park, it's like it needs like more effort. Quinn does. Whereas Z-Image, if I put guy in the park, it's just like, boom, perfect skin, you know, background is great picture just right off the bat, you know. And we'll do some Z-Image stuff, you know, so you can see the difference at some point. But Quinn, well, you saw it with the details of this picture. Wow, I didn't realize how good it can be sometimes. The depth of field, yeah, you can see the details. Yes, and the lights, and you can tell it exactly. You can say, make the light coming from left, make it, you know, golden hour, and it listens to exactly what you say, you know, and you can get it to do that. World Observer says, which local LLM do you recommend for this? Well, that's a good question because I'm still trying to figure that out. But you know what makes sense? And I haven't tested this too much. First of all, the LLMs, the bigger they are, the better they seem to do. But I've also been able to get the prompts to work really well with small models like Quinn 4B. You know, the 4B, the smaller ones work fine. But here's a hint that we need to try. Because if we go over here, if what you notice is that the models for the clip are Quinn 2.5 VL 7B, that's for Quinn image. And then Z-Image uses Quinn 3 4B. So, I think that's a vision model too. I think the Quinn 2.5, the Quinn 3 is a vision model. So to answer your question, I think what we probably should be doing is using the vision models for inferencing. And so I'm going to try changing my prompts, but I'll show you basically what I've been doing here. If I can just drag this over, I think you can see it. So this is Open Web UI. It's kind of like, it's just like a local open source version of like the UI you would get with OpenAI, for example. I have Quinn 3 30B AB3 instruct here, and I was prompting these recent prompts with that model. So it's kind of it's not a huge model, but, and it'll run on 16 gigabytes VRAM. It'll run on a smaller GPU, although it goes pretty slow. But if you put it on a 24 gigabyte GPU, like a 3090 or above, it runs really fast, like really, really fast. So this one's working out really good. And I think the LLM community has been liking this one since Quinn 3 came out a few months ago with this particular model. But I think what we probably should be doing instead is, we should probably be using, and I'm going to try this next, the vision models, because the vision models are tuned to understand the objects and the object interaction. So whereas, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody wants to argue this, please enlighten us. But these general instruct models are going to have more language, probably more general inferencing capability and perform a little better there. So maybe those do want to make better prompts. But the VL models are being used in the AI's interpretation of objects anyway. So it might be more consistent to kind of stick with that vibe and maybe prompt with your vision models if you can. If maybe you can even, so you can save memory on VRAM, maybe you can even prompt with these models themselves. I'm not sure I think you could do that. I swear I saw somebody doing that. I'm not sure if that's what they were doing or not, but maybe you could reverse prompt these models that even just come with the model itself. And so that should be kind of more like, in my mind, like a one-to-one consistency with what you're actually doing. So there's some ideas there for you. And Quinn 3 vision model you can download, there's the Quinn 3 VL 8B, and I think there's a 4B, or maybe there's not. I don't know. I don't remember. There should be. If there is, I got to download the smaller one, because I think they'll all work. I just used the big one because I was like, yeah, this is going to be the best prompt. We're going to make this prompt really good. You know what makes really, really good prompts? Gemini, the new Gemini. Holy shit. If once Quinn 3 models start getting frustrated with them, I just go to Gemini. Gemini will do it perfectly, pretty much one shot. Yeah. So why is there some Chinese stuff? Where is there? Did this one have some? I mean, a lot of this stuff is coming out of China. If you're wondering, if you ever ask the question, why is there Chinese stuff? It's because all of this open source stuff is coming from China. Like this is, we're in the China land with all of this open source stuff for sure. Yeah, this is all Chinese. Good luck trying to find something not Chinese. Try that. And it's not all Chinese. Like, no, the developers are from all over the world. Everybody loves AI. But a lot of these, Quinn image and Z image and stuff, I think these are coming out of Chinese labs for sure. So, Asmo says, holy moly, what's up? I haven't seen you online in ages. It's good to see you. What's going on? I know. And I know I've been rather absent from the stream, but I do have to go in a little while. I will come back. I'm going to go because I got to eat some dinner. But before I go, let me just tell you what my goal is, because I want to share some of this with you. And more than anything, I think my goal with live streaming this stuff is I love to present information to you guys. I love to teach. I love to inspire. It just feels good, like a teacher. It always feels good for a teacher to like share and inspire and stuff. So I want to bring something to you and show you some cool stuff that you might be able to use. And it might give you an idea. You might already know all of this stuff. You might know more than me about all this stuff, but I will challenge myself to still inspire you with some creative use of these tools that we're already all familiar with. And then for those of you that didn't know about this stuff, well, I'm going to have some stuff for you too. I'm going to show you some really cool and fun things that you can spend your time doing. And this is good. I think it's good time spent. I think it's productive. Of course, you can waste all day rendering, these random images and waste a couple of days, and that'll probably happen to you. So be careful. You'll go in a bender, with AI. But it's productive. All right. It's keeping you off the street. It's better than watching TV or something, something dumb, So I want to do something positive here. Secondly, my goal, I hope, is that some of you guys that know this stuff will give me ideas, because that's been one of the most beneficial things I've seen from streaming over the years is having discussions with other artists and other fellow humans, whether it's gaming or philosophy or whatever. Even at the beginning of the stream, we went straight into philosophy, right? I learn from you. You guys make me better. And so that's right there what I've just described as a two-way street. And so with this AI stuff, I think this is perfect for a live stream because we can actually talk about this, do some fun stuff. I want to try to make it fun by connecting it to the Psynaps bot. And so maybe have some renders going. Like right now I'm talking and my computer's not rendering. It could be rendering some dumb stuff that the chat puts in, and who knows, that idea might bomb, but I've had success in the past with hooking the chat up to silly things that other streamers wouldn't in their right mind ever hook their chat up to. That sounds like perfect opportunity for something fun to happen for me. So we'll just have to make sure we keep it safe for work, because with AI, the first thing random people in the chat are going to try to do, they're going to try to get some tits to show up on my screen, because even before AI, when I was streaming, people would still try to come up with creative ways to get me to show some tits on my stream to try to get me banned. Not because they want me to be banned, just because they want to see if they can get me to do something naughty. And if I get banned, who cares? Because it's the internet, right? But without getting in trouble, we should definitely hook this up to the AI somehow. Hook this up to the chat. Zytor says, is there a good video to set all of this up? Yes, but I don't know off the top of my head that I could point to any one video, but yes. And unfortunately, it's a bit overwhelming because there's so many videos out there. I think there's tons of YouTube creators that are trying to share their knowledge and have the attitude like I have to share with the community their knowledge and try to do that. So I did come across one guy who is actually really good. Let me do a shout out. I think you'll like this one because he actually has a lot of free stuff in his Discord. Let me find him. Pixarama. Let me find this. He had a challenge in his Discord, and I just happened to be doing the text, and he had talked about doing text. So this guy's actually really awesome. He actually inspired me. This is what his YouTube channel is. You can go look him up, but I made this as part of his in his Discord. He automates everything. He has a daily challenge, and everybody will just the daily challenge was like frozen time machine. So it just his bot just came up with a daily challenge, and then everybody submits it. So I was trying to do the text, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just put his name as a text because I'm learning text. He's got the challenge. I've got Quinn loaded up in my VRAM. It's already loaded up. So I put this in there and I submitted this to his challenge. Here's a few variations of it. And a few people liked it. This is the one I ended up sending because I personally think it's cool. the pictures and the color and the aurora, the clock, everything's cool. I think it's got a lot of elements of a cool fantasy AI picture. But I particularly like the way this text kind of sits in the snow. It's kind of trying to, show us a little bit of depth with the way the snow kind of occludes the bottom parts of the text. So, if you think about like 3D rendering, in order to get the light to kind of shine onto the snow, you would have to do, special lighting. What is it? Global illumination and rendering can sometimes have a hard time doing that and projecting the light. But the AI seems to do it. And there's also a little reflection and stuff. So all these kind of little visual rendering 3D elements are kind of there. And I was like, you know what? I like this one for that particular reason.
I know. I put the baby in the bed while I'm watching TV for a minute. Do you want me to make?
No, I'm going to take a break. I'm actually going to stop. I had so much to say. I had to say everything.
I was going to bring you food. If you
and also they said hi. The chat said hi too. Last time you came in here, Miss Psynaps, she said hi. Latent Vision on YouTube. Oh, I'll try it. Okay. World Observer says hey, and Yopi said hey. She says hi. She was happy that I was going to be streaming a little bit today.
Holidaze.
Asmodeus says hi. It is holiday. You know what? I always stream around the holidays. Like when I kind of stop streaming regularly, I always, I don't know why, but in the holidays, Anastalok said hi. During the holidays, I like to always stream. I need to stream more, of course, but I get so busy. You know how the world, the real world kind of catches up with you. But this stuff is just fun. I think it's therapeutic. I think you should go to YouTube and look these up. I think you should get started. Like I've always done. When people ask me, how do you edit a video? How do you do 3D? If the question now is, how do you get started with this AI art? My answer has been the same this entire time. And that is, just get started. The first thing to do is download the programs. I will tell you what the software is to use. And, and you have to download them and you have to try it. But look at that reflection. Right there. And somebody say, hey, well, what's the best program to use? And for AI, people are going to be like, what's the best model to use? Or what's the best upscaling workflow? And the answer to that is going to be the same as it always was, even since before AI. And that is the one that works for you, the one that fits on your computer, the one that you can use. And it's true. It really is. Like in World of Warcraft, what's the best spec? Right? Okay, there will be the most optimized theoretical spec for optimal DPS or optimal HPS or optimal crit, whatever specifically you're trying to do. There will be the best combination of things for that one thing. But it doesn't mean that your favorite hybrid spec is not viable. In fact, your hybrid spec might be the one that works the best for you in the most situations and for your guild and for your progression and stuff like that, right? So I think the same concepts are true for artistic tools. It's really like the way you use it, right? It's not how big your GPU is. It's how you use it. But unfortunately, you're going to need a GPU of some size to get those models in to begin with, right? But don't worry if your GPU is very small. It's not the end of the world. You're still going to be able to do plenty of work and produce plenty of product. You're still going to produce even with a tiny GPU. You don't need a giant one, but you're going to need some VRAM. Okay. So, for small GPUs, right. The GGUF, how do you even say that? The goofs. I haven't tried those. I've just been using like the safe tensors. So maybe the reason I need to try those is even though I can fit, let me show some of these other ones too. There's another one that I thought was pretty good. That one actually is pretty cool. I'm going to cycle through these. Oh, I like this one. Look at the text on this one. That's really cool. Anyway, what I was trying to say was, for a live stream, if we're going to do a lot of AI stuff, I think, in the chat. Like, let's say I tried doing my idea where we hook it up to the chat bot. I do think the smaller, faster models, even though they don't do as many details or they might not have the fidelity or whatever, due to the compression and stuff, those ones might actually be the best tool for the job if we hook this up to the bot. So I probably should start getting into those a little bit. Even if I have a big GPU, and it's not that big, but even if I had the 24 gigabyte GPU and it had all of the VRAM for the base model, I could still use the smaller model just so I can fit more stuff in. Because we might want to do small model, refinement step, upscaling, inferencing, because the chatbot's also going to want to like develop prompts and stuff. All of that stuff, that's a lot of models. And it'll go a lot faster if you could fit it all in the VRAM. And so you're using the Z image 8 gigabyte 2070. Oh, nice. Yeah. Do it. Yopi says, more comfy. So World of Zero, you like the ComfyUI streams? Yes. Good. Thank you for giving me that feedback. Yes. I think it's good. I think it's a good idea. Some of these big YouTubers, like, they're not streaming. And that's okay. Cause now AI content creation on YouTube is open a door to a new generation of creators that are creating completely AI, like their voices AI, their avatars AI. They're giving great tutorials, good quality videos, very informative and very great creators out there. But they're not showing their faces and they're not live streaming and stuff like that. So I'm the old school guy. I'm the old guy, who's still, pushing forward with the new stuff, the AI. But I'm going to bring the old school style to it a little bit, how we used to do it. And I think that's going to be good for the art community too, if I can be consistent. But yeah, this is one of those things. I can see it. A creator can always see a content opportunity. And what I'm seeing here is having a lot of fun on the stream, but also there's so much to do because we can go over, I want to go over poses. We looked at depth a little bit with the control net. I want to both capture poses and apply poses to some of the images and videos. I want to talk about the upscalers because if you look at Reddit, somebody comes in and is like, oh man, I'm having a tough time with upscaling, because I did too. Like, that was the first thing that stumped me was, hey, how are we going to upscale these? And I'm still stumped. Like, I still don't have it perfect, but I certainly have a working model here. I'm going to have to figure something out for video. But everybody's like, how do you upscale? And then one guy says, oh, this is the best way to upscale, and he'll link his, his upscaler model or whatever. And then somebody says, no, this one's the best. And it's like an SDXL model with an upscaler, and they work, and they all work and look incredible. And I was like, there's got to be something else. And somebody will just drop just use the seed VR. And then, so the point I'm trying to make is that some of these very basic things, there's still a lot of disagreement on. And I think that's a great content opportunity for us to like talk about that and argue about which one we think is the best and maybe try some different ones and stuff. Like, we can literally do a stream all day or even all week, or even create multiple videos on just the single topic of refining and upscaling, and then apply that to a really kick-ass workflow. And I would definitely tune in for that for sure. Yeah, interaction, Zytor. Yeah, that's definitely right. Yeah, before I did live streaming, I did YouTube and made a lot of videos. I want to go back to doing that. But there's nothing like live. Live is definitely pretty sick. But and it's hard too to be live. It's like, to be live, you got to really put in a lot of focused hours. But I think if you're not live, if you're just making videos, you could do a little bit of work here, do a little bit of work there, and it doesn't have to be continuous. Live is very challenging because it has to be, continuous. Oh yeah, I had a little bit of a wardrobe problem with Gwen. Something in the prompt, and still every once in a while it'll give me the stupid outfit. like a dress, which is not stupid, but I didn't put that in there. It kind of extracted from my fashion and clothes like prompt that I put in there. It kind of like, I messed that up for sure. Like I definitely have the worst outfits in these pictures, but some of them are so, hey, look, there's some copper. Which one of you guys was asking? There's a, oops, where'd it go? Shoot. Okay, here's the copper, and then like more copper. And then there's another one of me, like actually, look at the vents. More copper up there, funny. And then there's another one of me like actually rolling a roll of copper. Like, I don't know where that came from. I mean, it came from somewhere. But I don't know what's going on here. Is that Jesus? I'm not trying to trigger anyone or anything or an entire church, but there's some weird things going on here that I find pretty interesting. I like the Pope look there. Pretty like chill, if you could imagine. Floating lantern. Cool. Awkward guy standing in an office looking really weird. Church. Oh, you guys got triggered? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew that would happen. Man on the beach. Okay, that one that's pretty standard. No like extreme fashion. Just dude on the beach. Makes sense. I don't know what data center operator wears that outfit and has like shiny nipples. That's definitely a weird thing going on there. Oh, I see these are like some variations. So I think I was trying some various upscales. Detailer possibly there. The piano one I liked. The face I didn't like it. Something was wrong with the face. So I tried a few passes on this and I still couldn't get it. Oh, speaking of the detailers. Okay, look at this. This image is detailed without the LoRa. So that's not me. This is, defaulting to the default face or whatever. So not every second pass just works if you have a LoRa. Like that's kind of been a challenge to me. But if I plug the LoRa in to the second pass, the denoise pass, my face comes back. So here's my face. And I would have to probably find this picture and drag it in to see exactly the workflow here. But also the upscale was terrible. Look at all these blocky things back here. So this is kind of an example of an upscale that is not doing what you want it to do, but it's still using, somewhat common workflow. Something's a little off there. I don't know what. I tried a couple of different things, but I still got all this jaggedness. So that's not my workflow, like the workflow I showed you guys where I did the text overlay, where I did this pass. This pass is clean. There's no weird blockiness on that. So it's again finding like the right set of tools. But yeah, I went through. I was trying to clear up that blockiness. I just couldn't really get it. So I hated that doing noiser, and I just stopped using it. There's the Pixarama stuff, but no boobs have popped out yet, as you've noticed. So definitely knock on wood there. Better check my folder. Okay, no boobs, but there is some skin over this way. Let me go. There's Simetheus. I did a few passes of the 3D text rendering, and you can see, using the prompting, I can style the text a little bit and give it kind of that metallic chrome look with the cool stylized, kind of accentuated font edges, and maybe even a little bevel on some of the edges there, which is pretty common for 3D text. You can see the bevel in this one. I think I told it to try to do the bevel, and look, it did it. There's the bevel text. That's exactly what it would look like if it was coming out of Cinema 4D and you applied that little, or like Blender, if you applied the bevel to the text. So that was exciting to see it could do that. So yeah, we got to kind of figure that out and run that a little bit. You might be thinking at first, okay, 3D text, this is not that exciting. True. But when you actually look at what it's doing to that text, that brings a lot of control to your 3D workflow. So I want to see if we can recapitulate that again. And then that's just kind of nothing happened there. But look at these tattoos. Yeah, thank you, Yopi. Yeah, I appreciate the comments coming in already. Just think of these all true versions of you in alternate timelines. You think it's a deep fake, but it's actually connected. Pew pew. You are gonna blow my mind because AI is kind of like that. The way it like uses the neural network and kind of like connects points, like conceptually kind of denoising through connecting those points. What if all of those points are realities being connected, and AI is like a quantum gateway or something? Anyway, that'll trip me out all day. But look at these like fake tattoos. Some of them have like 3D imprints in them. I was just trying to get this to work. All of these are just like me messing with the settings, being like, okay, let's jack that setting up and see how it breaks it versus let's lower it and see how that breaks it. So some of these are bad, and I might have typed Psynaps is the best in there, but only because I was trying to make a long string of text. Okay, it wasn't because I think I'm the best, although I do enjoy when the AI kind of pads your ego a little bit. You know, that's one of the biggest complaints of AI is that it's what do they call it? Sycophant. It always wants to agree with you, essentially. And that's like, people are getting sick of that a little bit. Anyway, I agreed with the AI and the AI agreed with me. This is just a long string of text. Okay. So we tried those. The echo chamber. Exactly. Yeah. So we're all on the same page here, I hope. At least. But that one. I like that. I like the purple. Like, holy shit. All I was doing was, what did I do? I think I was doing the 3D text, and I said, make it a tattoo on the back, you know, and it just like put it on a girl, put it on a woman's back. So then I typed it in, put the tattoo on a woman's back, and then that made it like a little bit better. And I was going to do it on my back, but it doesn't know what my back looks like. So I just made up some, you know, male backs. And so these ones came out very, very cool. I thought that's cool. You could probably, I bet a tattoo artist could definitely make that look 3D, like for real. It says just like a tattoo. But I really did like those purple ones. And then the 3D, for some reason it said Psynaps. So that happened because I was bringing down the noise on the 3D input text. So the 3D input text, now all it was doing was going by the prompt. And if it just goes by the prompt, sometimes it will mess up the letters still. Like sometimes like Z Image and Quinn will get the letters perfect. But if you've ever tried to put a lot of letters in there, sometimes it really hates everything and you have to kind of refactor everything to get it to do the letters right. And this is a case where it didn't want to do the letters perfect by prompt alone. And it needed help. And I think I tried some things too where I didn't put the name in the prompt. I just prompted it, said 3D text in the tattoo. And I put the noise of the depth map very low. So I would trying to see at what point that depth map made it say Psynaps. And in this case, it did not say Psynaps at all. It has a Y in there. You know, it caught certain elements. But after I bring the noise up to a certain point, then it locks into those letters. And then this one here, you can see it. You know, the letters are not even like tattooed on the back. The letters are just there. So that noise didn't work. It's kind of cool. Yeah, so that one did like a little weird little hybrid. You know, this reminds me a lot of Photoshop. Like when you just paste something in Photoshop and then you start going through all the different blending modes, you know, until it's like the right one that kind of matches. This is kind of like what I was doing, just going through all the different blending. Some of them might look kind of cool. Types lol. Some of them are a little lol. There's the kind of the male back things. That's what it thinks my back looks like. What if it never saw my back? Like never trained my back, but it got all the freckles right or something. That would trip me out. I think it almost did that with my arm. Like some of the pictures, I didn't think my arm was in the training data set, and it got some of the freckles on my arm. And I was like, did it just guess, like based on the freckles on my face, did it guess what my arm would then look like and like get it right? Like, I don't know. But definitely not my back, but it'd be interesting to see how close it could guess my back. So I know there's a million, but I really was testing it. Like I was literally, oh, look at that one. Gold. Golden text. That one's actually pretty, very fake, but just very shiny and cool too. So I think those are over. Let me see. What was after that? There's too many. This could go on forever. I could literally probably, oh, there's a Pope. Check it out. We're trying to make the Pope do fireworks out of his hands. That'll make a good video. And there's me doing fireworks out of my hands. But we'll have to see if I could probably do a whole stream of just all of these random images that popped out. And some of them are pretty bad, pretty dumb. Wait, I feel like I saw those ones before. Look, what is that? Like what? How? And why? And what did I do wrong to end up with this one? Whoa. All right. I think this one's actually pretty cool because I think if you made this one into a video, you could do some cars passing by. I think that one would be pretty cool. And this is also a place you would never see me standing in the middle of the road in a city. You would never see me in this. I would never, just because I know someone would eventually just run me over. You would never see me. So I can live vicariously through standing in the middle of the road with an AI picture. And this one, so these are getting into like when I had to go back and adjust the fashion settings in the prompt, because I was like, what the hell is that? Is that even a real shirt? That's not even a real shirt. Like I didn't put in the prompt that this was like a runway, like fashion runway, for like some abstract, fashion inventions or catastrophes. Where did it get that? And it turns out, like, I looked at it and, there was enough there for it to once in a while do some weird outfit. They're all kind of weird outfits. So I definitely need to go and shape that up. I like this one because this looks very, old school. There's me in the dance studio, I guess. It's my dance outfit, I guess. I think I'm a shipping boat captain of some kind, or a warboat captain, something. So I got to stop going through all these because they're not almost done. They just go on and on. But it's funny to kind of see how some of them are similar, but also they're very different. There's some solar panels. I guess I got solar panels in there somewhere. I did have a really cool one of me as Batman. I got to find that one. Yo, check it out. Tedo says, if using Zoolander. So you think that was a Zoolander? And Yopi, I appreciate the warm comments. Did you know that you can just drop in your generated image to ComfyUI and it will open the workflow? Yes. Yes, I've been using that too to go back and check to see what I did. Yep, I've definitely been doing that. I do like the arcade ones. Those are cool. There's another one with that weird drape outfit. I think I said something in the prompt randomizer, I think said one of the choices was a draped silk or something like that. So I think that's where it came from. And I think I had to remove that, and then things got a little more consistent. There's a laboratory. That one would have been better with a lab coat. So this is an example of a picture where we could take this into the edit mode of like Quinn image edit and see if either by like painting or just by straight prompting, we could get it to fix the image and maybe put a lab coat on this. I mean, that's a pretty practical use for AI. And that could be a use even for like a real picture too. You might take a picture off your phone and be like, you know, this, I need to be wearing a lab coat in this picture. And then there it is, you know, that'd be cool. So that one's definitely one to test on. That one's kind of cool. It just looks like camping. There's another one with the weird one shoulder thing. Glad to know that my body type has so many, you know, fashion capabilities. Like I have fashion range here. Pull off. I gotta pull that off, you know, if I had to, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It's pretty cool. The art ones. I mean, some of them are just like not great, but none of them are like super terrible, like completely effed, you know? And that's a good sign. They're like consistent enough that, you know, you're getting good ones more often. Because I don't know if you remember, like back to like SDXL, and even if you use those smaller models now, a lot of people still using SDXL, and it's good for so many things and getting better still. But it will like wreck the faces every once in a while. Like there'll just be a picture and the face is all mangled and the fingers are like all, you know, that's just not happening with Quinn. You have to wait longer for it to cook, but it sure cooks very thoroughly. There's the ballet one, I guess. Am I a ballet student or a ballet instructor? I don't know, but that's nice. It's like a battle surgeon in casual clothes, or maybe I'm the patient. Maybe I've been injured in battle and I'm walking around against doctor's orders. Put him back in the bed. Okay, well, that's kind of cool. I like that. I have a lot of Laura of myself now. This is inspiring. Well, I will tell you how I did it. And actually this one, that one right there is probably one of the realest pictures, because that one looks very much like the pictures I trained this on, because I trained some with like me, you know, just from my cell phone, some selfies. I put those pictures in for the training. And that picture actually looks very similar to the original pictures. And it doesn't have like that plasticky look. You can see the face is not complete plastic. There's pores and you know, face stuff there that doesn't make it look all flat and shiny. So that one's actually, and I think I made a video of this one too, and it came out not too bad. But let me end with a video, because I think we are getting down to some of the last pictures. I know there was some iterations of this where some of my pictures, I look like John Wick a little bit. I think it was trying to decide whether it wanted to obey my Laura or obey its training. And in some of the pictures, they were a little John Wicky. And so I could see a little bit of Psynaps and with Keanu Reeves blended in a little bit. That can happen because these models will sometimes be trained on, you know, some celebrity faces. Z images like that. Like if you do, Z image knows celebrities. You know, I think you put in the Pope or Obama or like maybe other common, you know, current day celebrities or politicians, it seems to know them pretty well. So you'll have to fight against that, you know, with your own Laura. Let me see if I can find I tried a few automated videos. They didn't work as well. The prompts need to be worked on for the video parts, but I'll show you before I end. You guys already saw these, but this was like one of the first ones of this weird rocket. But what I liked was the hair blowing in the wind. That made me happy. Let's see if this one. Yeah, the beard blowing in the wind. Yes. I'm a simple man. That's all I need. It's a little wind in my beard and I'll call it a success. We did it, boys. But yes, for some reason my prompt it tried to vary the lighting, and so that during the video rendering it just that made it think there's blinking lights. So I gotta figure out my prompts or figure out my settings. So the camera movement and stuff, it's obeying kind of like the camera, the way it's moving in, and you know, the eye contact and some various other things it's doing. It's also doing the weird light stuff. So, but I'm trying to find the one that looked like a selfie, because I thought that picture looked real enough to begin with. The result was that you got a real looking video. Here's one of the ones of me standing in the hospital, and for some reason it decided that I was turning into some kind of like mutant superhero, or maybe it's just, you know, the world is blowing up from a solar flare. I don't know. Let me find it. And these are, yeah, they're too samey. You know, that's one of the problems. Here's one with the some kind of operator here, a video game character of some kind. That's not against the rules, right? I don't think so. AI. Just a few seconds. I got to try to figure out how to get these to go like, you know, infinite if needed. That is a possibility if I understand. Yeah, I can't really find that other selfie mode one for some reason, but oh yeah, when I first saw this one, I was just hoping the fish was gonna blow up or come out or something. I was like, oh, wait for it. Oh, nothing happened. Wait, maybe, nope. That fish needs to just blow up. Like my hair like blows back. It's like whoosh, something happened there. I don't know what. What video model is it? This one is WAN 2.2. And that's something else I'm trying to figure out is, I'll pull it up, the workflow. Let's see, which one? WAN. I was trying to figure out, okay, WAN 2.1, 2.2, like which one should I put my eggs in? I guess it doesn't matter. You can put your eggs in both baskets because, you know, WAN 2.1 is being used for some various animations, and it has its trained models, and LoRa's for 2.1. And then you have 2.2, which does this very confusing thing, which, you know, I'm wrapping my head around, but it's very interesting. You've got the high noise and the low noise. You know, that's something that the AI kind of does anyway, but for some reason in 2.2, that's broken out into two separate models and two separate workflows. That's enough to piss a lot of the community off. That can't really, and they're hard to keep track of too. Let me tell you, like the high noise and the low noise, you have two pipes essentially and two samplers. So if as you're building, you know, some of these more complicated workflows, you got to keep track of both of those pipes as they go all the way down, and then they might diverge off and do some other stuff. So it gets really fancy, I think, with this. And maybe that's why they did that, so that you have more control over that you know, the high noise and the low noise. I think the WAN 2.1. See, I'm still trying to. This is where you have to learn how the AI actually works and some of the noise theory, because the WAN 2.1 is like, you know, a single noise pass, whereas 2.2 has both of the noise passes. So World Observer says you can train WAN low noise LoRa using your data set of stills to improve the likeness. Yes, I want to do that. That's what I was trying to figure out. So I would just have to train the low noise. I mean, could I train both of them, or I just have to train the low noise? You know, because if it doesn't cost too much, you know, I might try training both. But if I just need one and low is the one, then I'll try it. So yes, I definitely will need to do that, because even my family noticed, you know, when I made the first videos, this is the workflow, by the way, it's really standard. Oh, and that's last video that was rendered. I was trying to, you know what I told it? I was like, okay, I told it, the man Psynaps turns to face the piano, then jumps on the piano seat and stomps on the piano keys. Okay, so yes, bad prompt, terrible prompt, because he didn't do what I said, but at least he jumped backwards on the piano bench. I feel like if I played that backwards, it would look forwards. So something happened there. Oh yeah, but that's what it looks like in. This is a pretty default one. I did experiment with a more complicated one that came from some other pack. And this one is quite a bit more complex, but it uses, it's from the what's it called? The WAN video wrapper pack. This one has block swap. So you can get this one to work on smaller GPUs, but it does take a lot longer. So yeah, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go to the restroom real quick. Check this out. Okay. All right. I'm working, I've been trying to stop the stream for like the last 2 hours, but once I stream, if you guys know me, I can't stream for any less than 10 hours straight for whatever reason. But yeah, so that was the last thing I wanted to show was a little bit of the video. So yeah, before I do bounce out though, I do want to say, first of all, huge thank you for you guys coming and checking this out, because I haven't streamed for a long time. I see Swamp Rat is in there. Hey, what's up? But before I go anywhere, I just wanted to say what my goal was. So what I want to do next, make sure you try to check in. I'll probably be streaming about the same time if I go live again. I'll try to go a little bit earlier, but you know me, I stream late. So the late night crew will be coming out pretty soon, because I usually do the later hours. But I want to show this workflow. I want to show ComfyUI. See, Think OG is in there. I want to show you guys how to do this, because that's kind of the spirit that I always have, is share these workflows if I can. There's so many things I feel like I can't share. This is definitely one we can all share and enjoy together. This is free as long as you can run Comfy, and it runs on Windows too, that you don't have to do Linux to make this work. Which is nice. I use both Linux and Windows. But my GPU machines have always been Windows, because of stuff like Cinema 4D and After Effects and gaming and Unity and all this stuff. So AI works fine with Linux, and sometimes maybe even some cases better for certain things. But this is definitely a Windows thing, and there's plenty of tools. Nothing is going to slow you down. Linux for the win. Absolutely right. The computer behind me, like this one that I'm on now and the one behind me, are Windows machine, and Comfy's actually running on Windows. But that's because that Windows also runs other things that, are like Windows related stuff. But then my other set of computers that are not in this room, because they're the more noisier ones, those are all the Linux ones, back in the home lab part of the house. So maybe I'll show you some of those junkers sometimes, you know. Those of you that do home labs, you know how sometimes, you know, you've got some nice ones mixed in with the junker ones, and hey, they're all keeping the house warm and running what they have to run. And for those ones, those are all Linux. No Windows on any of those. But, oh, Yopi, you have no Windows. Uh-huh. Oh, like no Windows. Like glass windows? Like Microsoft Windows? Wait a minute. Hold on. What are we talking about here? Either way, that's rough. That's rough. It's okay. You don't need Windows, right? You don't need Windows. You can do everything you want to do without Windows. For the most part, you know, I did at some point with the 3D stuff, like with some of those very specific workflows, you know, I had to do those in Windows if I wanted to use that software. So, if you can stand to install Windows, you know, on a computer, some people can't, then, you know, I think that's definitely where we're at. But are some of your PCs connected to each other, Swamp Rat? They are. I mean, you know, through the Ethernet, you know, I like to plug them in, you know, so I have the home network and they're plugged in with switches, and it's mostly 10 gigabit network. I really don't need to go any higher than that because I'm not trying to, you know, some of these computers have NVMEs and have very fast drives and fast IO. And so 10 gigs can in 2025 can be a bottleneck. Yo, Trustin, I see Trustin on the YouTube side. Yo, what's up? So, but 10 gigs has been like, cause most of the time I'm not transferring huge files, and the AI doesn't need a lot of networking because it's really just local GPU. And then, you know, it's taking pretty modest inputs, and then what it outputs are pretty small files as well. So, 10 gig is more than enough, I think, for most people. And for me, it's definitely where I'm at. But you felt adventurous, and I switched to a full Linux a few months ago. A learning curve, but rewarding. That's awesome. That is awesome. I have been very close to, but then I don't. So I'm lazy. But all my cloud stuff is Linux. I use Linux every single day for sure. But what we're going to do, I want to next, I'm going to make a little goal, you know, for the next stream, or even if I'm lucky, you know, I'd like to do a whole series of these streams, and we're going to do like pose, depth. We'll do some more image enriching, you know, because high quality is what I'm interested in. And that was a problem that I identified right away with these images. Even though they're beautiful, they're low resolution. They don't come out on the first run as high as, you know, a multi-megapixel camera. Even your cell phone takes higher resolution pictures than the pictures that these models are popping out by default. You have to go to the next step. You have to go to the refining and tiling and upscaling. And there's so many like methods, and the methodology I think is fascinating because I want to find the best messages or the best methods for doing this. So we'll do that one. And then I want to take the webcam footage, just like a real picture, because even Anastalok asked earlier, be like, can you do this stuff with actual like real images and retouch them and enhance them? And so yes, you can. I want to take like a stream image that you would create with your webcam and then see what we can do to one of those. What if we did my stream, but we did other streamers too, and we did other feeds? What if we could pipe this into some feeds? But so that's just like some research. And then video. We got to figure out how to make better videos, and, you know, also be able to upscale the videos. I'm gonna want to make at least 1080 minimum. You know, we want 4K. 4K is a good target for both images and video because that's plenty of pixels. You know, that's a lot of pixels for just everyday, you know, whether it's web browsing, background images, texturing for, you know, other assets that go into other workflows. You know, so 4K is pretty standard. And you're thinking, hey, why stop there? Why not go 8K, go even bigger? Well, there's a practical reason to that. Actually, a lot of too many pixels can cause a lot of overhead. And as the artist, you'll wish you'll downscale to the resolution that works the best with your system and also gets the job done. But I think our standards in going into 2026 are at least 4K by now. Okay, maybe a couple of years ago, 720 and 1080 is okay, but now I think we're even if you don't have a 4K monitor, we appreciate the versatility of at least 4K. So that'll be the target. For video, it's going to be harder to reach. The video is incredible, but still it's having some trouble. You guys ever play with like the when animate, or what do they call it, where you can dance, take like TikTok dances, and it'll take the skeleton and just like really like make these very convincing, like beautiful videos. So there's a LoRa for those things. I would like to try that, not really for dancing, but maybe for doing other stuff. Like, I don't know, something like that. But, all right. So check out that one YouTube channel that I'd recommended. And I think, World Observer also had a recommendation up there in the chat. I got to scroll up to find that one. And that's the homework. Install Comfy, at least. It's free. And at least figure out, if you're not already playing with this stuff, begin the research, the process of, learning your own computer and determining, if you can run this on your computer. Remember, don't get frustrated. Goodness in, evil out. It's one step at a time. You just knock them down. Just line them up and knock them down one at a time. I'll be here. When I'm live, I'll be here to encourage you guys to do that kind of stuff. Let you know that it is possible. I would like to see all of, the different levels of AI artists come in and give their opinions, from the people who are just starting, got to get you going. But the guys that have already been doing this the whole time and know way more than me and know everything there is to know about all this stuff. I also want to bring some value to them as well. Maybe come up with some new ideas, some new ways to connect these nodes together to do something cool, do something new with our old pipelines, keep innovating. Z-Image, for example, once that what's it called? The base image comes out for Z-Image, I'm going to go train it. I'm going to go train on it and see how much better it is than training on the, the turbo version, which is what we have to do now for the LoRa's. But, yep. So Trustin says, hey, what's up, Psynaps? What's your career? I'm still doing the cloud servers, Synaptic Media, which is a media company that I started when I started live streaming, became a tech company for, cloud streaming services. And that's the company I run now, Trustin. And then we have a second company that's not quite as, active as Synaptic Media. The Stream Voodoo stuff is like the real-time stuff. So that's still going. And I consult with those guys from time to time. But what about you? What's your career? So yeah, the live streams that's my job. So, for the people who are streaming outdoors, and you don't even have to stream outdoors, you just, if you want to enhance your stream and to use more cutting edge technology in your live streams, that's that's what I do professionally. The artistic stuff and the creativity, that's just kind of a passion. It's very therapeutic. It's, sometimes rendering these images and experimenting scientifically with like all the settings and stuff just chills me the F out. But software engineer for a credit union, that sounds awesome. Been doing that for 3 years. Yep, that sounds cool. Soppy Rice, yo. Swamp says, has this been used in video games for years? Just curious. You mean like the AI workflows? I mean, yes. I think that video game developers are some of the like most creative and advanced like 3D creators. Game developers use all of the methods for generating assets and 3D assets and 2D, texturing and stuff. So definitely in the gaming world, they're using all of this stuff. all of this time, though, however, I wouldn't say that. I think that so many industries still need some time to adopt these things. AI is moving so fast and these models are moving so fast. By the time you actually develop a core pipeline for your video, development group, there's already going to be a new pipeline like ready. So I think this is a continuously evolving thing. AI just no one has ever seen something moving so fast as AI. It's like 1 week you're building a pipeline with Quen and then Z image hits and you're like, should I still be building this pipeline? So that's actually a good point because ComfyUI kind of bridges a lot of those gaps, I think. So ComfyUI is kind of a cool wrapper in a way, kind of wraps up all of these different models into very similar, node pipelines. So I think it's actually a good way to think of ComfyUI. I think it's kind of just like this massive wrapper. And then there's a bunch of little node packages too that are actually wrappers. So it's like wrappers within wrappers, and it lets you really get the job done, I think. So something new will come out and I'll be like, oh, is there a ComfyUI node yet? Nope. Aw, shoot. But so you'll see some of the more popular stuff will always have like a little package to it. So you'll be able to get started. And something else I'll tell you too, I'm live on YouTube and Twitch and also on Kick. Oh, Kick is sending some feedback, but on Kick, I don't know. I don't even know why I stream there. I like Kick. I like a lot of the things they're doing, but it's like, it's very dead. Like it's always been like, I don't understand the streams on Kick, but I know a lot of guys. I work with a lot of people who actually have some pretty good, Kick streams that are doing really well. So it's there. It's just, it's even worse than Twitch, and Twitch is pretty bad. YouTube. I love YouTube. I think it's the most advanced streaming platform. It is, in my knowledge, that's what I do professionally. I know for sure YouTube is like way more advanced compared to Twitch, but it just doesn't have like a lot of the Twitch things, like the cool stuff in chat and the discoverability. And it's lacking a lot of things that, chat, that Twitch has. But the quality on YouTube is interesting. So I am streaming a higher bitrate to YouTube. So if you guys want to ever go over there just to see if it seems higher quality, I'm curious. I can't really tell unless I'll try to go back and watch the VODs or something, but it's, it's different the way YouTube does their quality, because they do force transcoding. They force transcode, which is bad quality wise, but they allow you to stream at much higher bit rates than Twitch, which is good for quality and can potentially increase quality. So I think it ends up evening out where you can watch my source stream on Twitch at the quality I stream it, which is going to be the highest quality we can fit into that bitrate limitation. So Twitch is going to look good always. It's going to look, relatively good. YouTube is like the wild card where it's like you can send up a whole bunch more bitrate, but they're going to force transcode it into the quality they want to send out for digest. And that may or may not be as crisp as the original quality. So you guys can decide that. Does YouTube do AV1? It does. Yeah. And I don't know if it just does it by default now, but it used to be that in your YouTube settings, you can opt into AV1, because not every video player can play it, or maybe it's glitchy on some devices. So I think by default it wasn't always on, but maybe it is on now. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't think YouTube lets you send AV1. Maybe it does. I feel like they said it does. I actually got to talk to one of the head architects for YouTube Live's infrastructure. He was like an infrastructure architect, for YouTube, and we were talking about HDR streaming was the topic of our discussion. There's some niche production companies that want to stream HDR, and I was helping to do some 10-bit HDR stuff. So YouTube has the technology for that higher color spaces and stuff. more advanced all the way around. But can we send up AV1? I think so. AV1 sucks live, to be honest. It's bad. Even the NVIDIA encoders, not as good as HEVC yet. One day AV1 will trump HEVC in terms of live encoding quality, but today I don't think it's quite there. It is in some ways, and then it isn't. So HEVC, when we did all the tests, Twitch was developing their enhanced streaming system, which is kind of deployed. It's kind of half deployed, half not. The proposal was that we would be able to stream and send HEVC and AV1 up to Twitch. And AV1 basically just got cut out because it sucked. HEVC was performing better for live. And so it turns out our NVIDIA GPUs can do a pretty good HEVC, and even AMD and Intel, even CPU onboard graphics even do pretty good HEVC. Even a phone does good HEVC. So that's where we are with that. So with that, I guess I'll leave you guys. Next time I'll show you some more stuff. I showed you a lot of pictures this time. Next time we'll take those pictures, we'll review them a little bit. If I come up with any new renders that are worth looking at, we'll take a look at them. And then I'm going to put them in these workflows and start doing some of those crazy things with the pose and all that. I'll come up with something. I just tried this LoRa for the first time today. The multiple angles LoRa. And then we'll try to put these and make videos image to image, first frame, last frame, multi-frame stuff. And thank you guys. Huge shout out to Wolfric, who subscribed and has been subscribed for a long time. It only says 33 months subscribed, but Wolfric has been subscribed for a couple of years. When is the first, there's people that have been subscribed for Wolfric is one of them, has been subscribed for a really long time. Thank you guys for the follows and just hanging out and giving all that feedback. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.